What's up, people? Got my quarantine hair that's getting out of hand. This is what happens when you haven't had a haircut in forever. It's kind of getting crazy. I should have really done something with it today. Oh man, it has been absolutely nuts. What's up, Shadow Primus? What's happening? Hope everyone could hear me well in the craziness that's going on in the world recently. Wonder if stores have been opening up in some areas for you people. I know that I've still been kind of hanging low. I've been back to work in a lower capacity, but still hanging low on the weekends because of everything that's going on. Well, it's funny, Zero, because like the only time I've ever been going out has just been like weekends just to do grocery shopping. And I've been pretty like it's funny, like when it first started rolling out that stores were opening, I was just like, nope, I'm not going to Toys R Us, I'm not going to any of my places to do toy hunting or Walmart. I'm just gonna get my groceries and go home, wear my mask, the whole thing. Just stay true to it, don't give in to temptations. And then I went to one of my grocery stores that I always go to, and they had like, because they don't want to hand out flyers to people because then people have to touch them and they're worried they'll throw them out. So they have like this big wall of their flyers that you can kind of look at before you go into the store when you're lining up while they desanitize your carriage and stuff. And they said 50% off or more in our toy section and no tax today. Now, even me, who is hardened, like to not go to Walmart, not buy, go to the toy section, to not go to Toys R Us, to not go to all my little stomping grounds, I couldn't pass that up. I was intrigued. I'm already there. I'm already there to get my bread and my milk and my, dinners. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. I don't go to Walmart to buy groceries. The place where I go is called Maxi. It's kind of I guess it's a Quebec chain. I think it's called Loblaws in the rest of Canada. And I like their prices. They have the stuff I like. I like to eat healthy, so I just like that kind of stuff. So when I saw those prices, when I saw that, I was like, I was intrigued, and so I went into the section, and I mean, clearly I was late to the game because someone ransacked it all, but I did get to pick up some stuff, and I want to give people perspective here. So now Windblade is never going to get a proper Cyberverse toy, so this is probably as good as it's going to get. This is how much she was, $6.94 Canadian. To give it a cash equivalency, that's like getting her for like a warrior class for $4 American. So can't pass that up. And then I was like, you know what? I just like Shockwave, even though I have the deluxe one, the much better version. I was like, hey, I'll get that Shockwave just for the heck of it. And all the other stuff was like all the Cyberverse stuff that didn't interest me. Like I would have liked it if they had Acid Storm in the deluxe, the warrior scale. But I mean, it's just, I want to get, because I know Cyberverse is done, I want to get the best representation of each character in that show, regardless of the size class. And unfortunately, with Windblade, that's about as good as it's going to get for that version of that character. So, all the Studio Series stuff got eaten up. All the, like, the good generation stuff that was available, because I think they still had, like, Siege. Like, they're kind of behind. You have to understand, like, when the Big V happened, and I want to talk about the Big V afterwards, when the Big V happened, they kind of like obviously didn't get any new stock for like 3 months, 4 months. They were just focusing on food during quarantine. Because again, this is a supermarket that sometimes has toys. So for me, I was like, hey, I mean, on the back of these, what does it say here? Like a 2017, so technically 3-year-old Cyberverse toys, 50% off or more. Again, like the equivalency of $4 American. Why not? Why not? Is it a great toy? Not really. But I mean, it's probably the best version of Cyberverse Windblade. So that's the one that'll be on my shelf, which is a shame, but it is what it is. And just to touch up on the Big V, Last stream that we did, I mentioned it by its actual name, I think twice, and YouTube demonetized down the video. So if anyone's looking for last week's stream, it's kind of gone right now. It's on forced private, as YouTube likes to call it. So sorry about that. So we're going to try to avoid saying words that might bother the algorithms of YouTube. What do we got here? Sorry if I'm slow to read the chat over here, because it always goes up quickly. Sadly, we won't get a deluxe scale of Shadow Striker. Yeah, see, you know what? I want to assume everyone's kind of caught up to Cyberverse and its series and everything. Like, it's crazy when you think about it, but if they would have done a second wave of deluxes, like, Windblade could have been the Build-A-Figure because of how the story was in the show, how they had to collect her parts and stuff. So it's kind of sad that they missed a storytelling opportunity that could have been infused into the toy line. But I mean, yeah, it's pretty crazy how a lot of like some key characters didn't get good figures. I'm surprised Hot Rod was part of that list, because Hot Rod got a lot of really good figures, and the fact that he was added to the deluxe assortment was a shock to me. He's probably one of the weaker ones of the bunch, in my opinion. I kind of like some of the others better, but it's still pretty cool. Still pretty cool. You know what? I would like to believe that Japan would get something extra on the side, but that's not the case anymore. It used to be, you know what? It used to be, I remember Aaron Archer told me about this. It used to be like back in the day, Takara did their thing, Hasbro did their thing, and if they ever wanted to like share stuff, they would, but they're always kind of two separate entities. But then when the Unicron trilogy came around, and really like at the tail end of Armada going into Energon, but it was like he said, the tail end of Armada, they started really going like, hey, we really need to like work together every year on everything. And that's why like we don't have stuff like Beast Wars 2nd and everything. Yeah, there was Transformers Go, which was like an exclusive Transformers Prime anime side story thing. But in general, they really have they really kind of just stay true, and they all do stuff together. I don't think we'll get another like anime exclusive 52 episode series anymore. Outside of that Transformers Nizza thing, which we still don't know much about from China. That's about it. Hasbro dropped the ball on Gigawatt. Oh, bro, anyone who's listened to my 2 segments about it, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Zero, I don't think that Hot Rod's the worst of the deluxes, but it's just that I feel like he's, I don't know, like if you've ever messed with Cybertron Hotshot, also known as Exilion, he just feels a lot like a 2006 toy, where everyone else really has a little bit more of a modern engineering. I haven't messed with what's his name there, Thunderhowl yet, so I don't know about that one. But with all the other ones I've messed with thus far, I like what they do. Do you have Earthrise Optimus Prime? I don't have him yet. I'm going to wait for him when he goes on clearance. Again, when all this stuff hit, I kind of laid low. But I do have a friend that has one. I messed with it, and it's pretty good. I mean, as someone who owns the 35th anniversary Masterpiece one, and someone who owns the MP10 and MP1, it's a good budget replacement for people who can't afford Masterpiece. Grimlock is the worst. Really? I guess, yeah. It's not that Grimlock's the worst. I feel he was the least surprising for me. Didn't really reinvent the wheel much. I like that he comes with the crown, though. But I guess maybe that's just, I like accessories with my Transformers. It really bothers me that we got a deluxe Grimlock because it's not the scale. Yeah, well, you know what? That's the thing. Like, Grimlock had a lot of different releases in Cyberverse, so at least you have options where, a character like, let's say, Hot Rod, same thing, a lot of options. RC, not so much, so I'm glad RC was added to that. Transformers RED might get some Cyberverse characters, says Dev Von Prime. I'm excited about that line. I know that a lot of people aren't big on the non-transformable gimmick about it. That's actually going to be in a future video. I want to talk about non-transformable Transformers throughout the years, because it's always been something present in our hobby, and I don't know why people are freaking out about it now. And not to mention how I really see what Hasbro's trying to do with this from a marketing standpoint. Hopefully we get a new Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime in this trilogy. I hope so too. Anytime we get a new Hot Rod toy, I'm game. I always like to check it out as long as they're good. As long as they're good. Hey man, even when we got Rodimus and Titaniums, I was happy. Those were two, both the 3-inch and the large one. I love them both. Do we know when we'll be getting more Studio Series and Earthrise reveals? Very soon, actually. San Diego Comic-Con was supposed to happen, I want to say at the end of this month. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I know that Hasbro said they want to do that Fan First Friday thing continuously all of summer, and I'm pretty sure they're going to use the SDCC date to use it to reveal more stuff. Remember that Walmart leaked listing that we had? There's still stuff that was on that list that we still didn't get revealed yet. So we'll see. We'll see what's going down with that. Do you know why Hasbro changed the generations to turn around from 19 to 20? I think they made a mistake. I think that they probably were like, oh, Centurion drone deluxe, yeah, 1999, right? And then probably someone sent a memo to the website guy or something. It's like, no, that thing comes with a lot of extra stuff. Charge more. And I think that that's probably what happened. It's not the official reason, but I think that that's probably what happened. Because even though it's a deluxe figure, I think that the fact that it comes with a ton of extra stuff, Hasbro's not going to eat a loss on that. They're going to try to make some money on that, honey. Online scalpers use bots to buy. Yeah, that's true. Look, I have two friends locally in Montreal. They're not Transformer scalpers, but they're scalpers of Marvel Legends and DC. And those guys are crazy. They are absolutely crazy individuals. They buy full waves of stuff. They eat up the entire shelves, and then they do local conventions here, and then they turn around and sell it to gullible people who can't wait. And they use bots. They show up to Toys R Us early on a Sunday because they know that Sundays is usually when people restock. Same thing. But usually with Toys R Us, I know some people are in the States, they don't know, Toys R Us isn't going to be a big factor to you, but for people who are Canadian in the UK, Toys R Us usually restocks on Sunday and Monday. That's when usually they'll refill the shelves again. So, I mean, it's something that we'll see what happens when it comes to online scalpers more in general if we have more high-end product. But that's why I do the finance videos. Like whenever I do my Transformer finance videos, like I'm telling you guys, listen to those things because I've seen the scalping as far back as like 1999. Like I've seen scalping as far back as even then. And there's just certain products that I see and I go, this is going to have a short-term bubble boom. And if you want to own something mint in box for collector reasons, this is what you need to pick up now as opposed to, look, everything evens out in the end, but if you're someone that's a mint in box collector or you like to own the box or the packaging or whatever, you're probably not going to find that stuff loose with the packaging later. Look at anyone who went crazy with the old Skywarp and Thundercrackers back in the day, the old deluxe one. You could pick them up today now fairly cheap, but you're probably not going to find it with the package anymore. But they were scalped like crazy at one point. So, I mean, I'm going to go into crazy more about that as time progresses. We got a donation question. I'll get to it in a moment because it just disappeared off the screen, but thank you for the donation. I'll read out your name in a sec. Sorry, like so many questions are coming up. Hold on, let me get to you, brother. So, Yatja, please, if I mispronounce your name, I know the second part. Xenomorph asks, question, if Takara was to make a masterpiece cliff jumper, would you prefer a real car mode or a penny racer accurate one? Well, I feel that masterpiece should be more about show accuracy. So, like where I feel like Generations is the one where you could be more clever. So if I want show accuracy, I want, I want penny racer, Porsche cliff jumper. I think it'll work better for the proportions, and I think it'll just look nicer because people want to have that accurate model. That if they're going to do a penny racer cliff jumper, he's going to have a little hatch in the back for his glass gas and stuff that he used on Laserbeak's cannon. They're going to put all those little extras, the little cannon and stuff, everything. So I want show accuracy with that, where Generations, they'll do their own thing. They'll do the more long Porsche, or they'll do their own thing. So that's how I would want it personally. That's what I expect of Masterpiece, is show accuracy of how it looks on the screen. And that's like, obviously there's that that argument where people want to have one or the other, and sometimes you do get one or the other. You'll get like a show accurate Shockwave color scheme, and then they'll do a color scheme that's more like the toy and little tweaks here and there. So you kind of get both anyways in the end if it's a color thing. Now I have to scroll back up, but thank you for the donation and the question. Where are we at here? Let me see. Sorry if I'm... What are your thoughts on leaving batteries and missiles in old figures? Never, 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 never leave batteries in figures. I will say this right now. Even the new batteries here. Oh my God, I had an example recently. Here we go. So this is the power cells that Hasbro put in their products. All their products, whether it be... I'm trying to think of what was some of the last stuff that really had C cell, AA or AAA batteries. But like, I guess I can't see them right now, but a lot of the animated stuff, because it was battery activated, had that kind of stuff. And you should never leave those in there because they will explode after 3 to 5 years, and the acid will destroy the plastic. And even worse, not only will it destroy the plastic, but it'll destroy the filaments and the electronics won't work anymore. I have seen so many 1985 Omega Supremes that have corrosion in them because people left the 2 batteries in the chest, and it destroys the chest. Now Omega Supreme can't walk anymore. Same thing with the 9-volt battery for Galvatron. Now granted, we're talking 80s toys, but I mean everything is guilty of having that. It only takes between 3 to 5 years after expiration date of the battery for them to expand and explode. Now there is batteries that don't expand and explode. There's some, I guess, some like rechargeable batteries that use a lithium that doesn't do that. But in general, you know, if you're just putting like, you know, your basic Duracells inside your, you know, Bumpin' Battle or animated Optimus Prime, better check up on that. You know, and that goes for video games too, and you know, handhelds and stuff like that, vintage handhelds. You always got to be careful with that, but never leave batteries in it. Always take them out afterwards, especially if you're displaying. You're going to put a figure on the shelf and you're going to leave it there for 6 years. And even with pill batteries too, they actually excrete an acid after 4 years, and you can damage your product. So if you have, like, let's say Masterpiece Optimus Primal, and you have the little thing where you push on his head and his eyes glow, take out those batteries afterwards if you're not going to mess with them for a while. So yeah, very important, that one. Imagine we'll get new reveals at SDCC with their online thing. Hey Protoman, can you give us a history lesson on the DeLorean? Oh man, where do I even begin? I'd love to, actually. I'd love to do it justice. I know a lot about cars because I'm a car mechanic by trade. DeLorean's not my one of my favorite cars, but I know a lot about it just because of its history and how it's known within the car community, especially from a gas consumption standpoint. The fact that it was made out of stainless steel, which weighed down the body, which made the gas consumption terrible. The engine wasn't very good, so it couldn't handle the load of the body, so the engines had issues. The fact that DeLorean has a terrible secondary market for accident controls, so if you like own a DeLorean and you damaged the side and you want to replace the door, there's very few in the world today that are actually ODM, meaning original model, to use. It's a complicated history, that car. It's something that I can't like just do in a stream, but I'd love to do it in the future for people if they're actually interested to talk about the history of the DeLorean within Transformers, because it actually has an interesting history in some areas with Swindler and Steelskin, who was one of the most famous customs back in the 90s, you know, within the fan community when the community was really small, and then going on to, you know, what we have today even. Hope the Rumors of Grimlock is a budget masterpiece for Studio Series. Yeah. We'll see. Again, that's one of those SDCC things. We're going to learn more probably about Studio Series 86, hopefully in the future. I don't think it'll go on first. Everyone wants a Prime. One thing I will say, everything goes on clearance except really cheap stuff. Large stuff always go on clearance. It's just, the thing is that usually it goes on clearance and you don't even know it happens. Here's a little trick that I always do. Every time I go to Walmart, hasn't been recently because of you know what, but every time I go to Walmart, I always take different price point products. And maybe I'm lucky because my Transformer section in the Walmart I frequent has the, like, you know, that scanner barcode thingy. It's like literally right in the same aisle. And so I literally go, okay, Deluxe Studio Series, beep. Okay, it's still normal price. All right, deluxe Cyberverse, beep. Okay, it's still normal price. Oh, Studio Series, you know, whatever, leader class, boop. Okay, and I check it every week because sales also happen and they're not advertised. And what happens is sometimes a leader class goes on sale for just that week. All the guys who know their stuff come, they swoop in, they buy it all, and then you live obliviously going, oh, they're, you know, that leader class, you know, Siege was never on sale, but it was. And I constantly check for that all the time. So you should always do that too if you're looking for deals. Constantly look over and over and over. Just look, you're already at Walmart. You look at, and the thing is, Walmart, they don't put tags saying, oh, you know, your $14.99 figure, now it's 10. No, you got to actually check it. You got to check it every time. Beep it because their UPC system is messed up and sometimes stuff just goes on crazy clearance. If you find really old product there, like if you find like something that's like 3 years old or 2 years old and scan it, like it might be on like crazy clearance and you don't ever know it. Let me tell you a story. I wish I still had the photos. Toys R Us used to have a system that if any product was 4 years or more older, it rang up on their UPC scanner as 1 penny. And everyone in the toy community knew that. And not just like Transformers, just toy community in general. And usually it was pretty hard to find stuff that was 4 years old that was still in Toys R Us's inventory. And the reason why they did that was because it was considered dead stock and was supposed to be already out of the store. But sometimes stuff slips by. I remember during like 2006, 2007, I went into a Toys R Us and they had Armada toys. And the card backs were beat to like to hell and everything, but they were there. And I remember going to the cashier and beeping them and it was penny, 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 penny. And they were like, I'm sorry, like I can't sell you this. I'm like, yes, you can. You can sell me this. Like it beeps at a penny. I didn't do no foul play. And they called the manager, and the manager was like, well, you're going to have to pay $5 each for these. I'm like, why? It's scanned for a penny. You either have to give this to me for free, or what is your name here, Scott? You know. And so they had to give it to me for free because they were like, because now they were saying like it was a mistake. And in Canada, the rule is I think if an item is under $5 and they claim that the price is a mistake, you actually get it for free. There's some weird law with that to protect the customers. But always scan items. Always scan them before you buy them because you never know, you're going to see deals all the time. And I mean, this collection didn't build paying retail. Let me tell you. I didn't build this crazy collection paying retail. I worked at Burger King back in the day and was a completist because I wasn't paying retail. Man, the COVID, the freaking hair is getting crazy. Quarantine hair. Where are we at here? I hope we get something like Alpha Trion or Autobot X. I would love to get an Autobot X. That should be another Build-A-Figure. Autobot X would be cool. That's where they missed an opportunity there. We'll see what happens with that. Earthrise is too rare to go on clearance. It's not rare. It's out there. Anyways, but where are we at here? I have not bought a real retail. Ah, it's Larry. What up, Larry? I have not bought a retail TF in years, but I'll get Sunstreaker. Of course you would. Oh, what was the last Sunstreaker before that one? That was Combiner Wars, in retail? Because obviously we're not going to count the Masterpiece, and I think Creo had a blind bag. I'm trying to think what else. But yeah. Where are we at? SDCC is always mid to late. Yeah, it's always mid to late July, and the only reason I know that because TFCon was always mid to late July, and sometimes it would be the same weekend even. Sometimes it'd be a week before, sometimes it'd be a week after. Being in Ireland, it's really sad to see that Hasbro has locked the Pulse site. It only accepts credit cards from the USA and Canada. Let me tell you something, Ireland. Even though we're able to buy from them, we have terrible shipping costs. Like Hasbro Pulse, even though like Hasbro Pulse is located in Rhode Island, like Montreal, where I live, is a 4 to 5 hour drive to Rhode Island. And they might as well think we're on the moon because shipping for a deluxe is like, I think, $30 American, which is like more than the cost of some of the stuff that you'd be buying on Pulse. So, I mean, the shipping for my HasLab Unicron was like the price that people pay for Masterpiece toys. It was ridiculous. Like but that's a whole other story. Where are we at here? Just wanted to get the numbered ones. Me too, bro. Everyone wanted to get a numbered one. But we all got boned. What's the street date for Thundercracker Skywarp 2-pack? Already out. It's already out there. Check it out. As Zero said right under. It's already out there. Be sure to pick it up if you see it. People are scalping the hell out of them. So get it if you can, if you want it. If you don't, leave it for someone else. But the scalpers are killing it. So where are we at here? Scroll. Hey, Daniel, I'd like to say happy 4th, but... well, we had Canada Day on July 1st. We had Bret Hart's birthday, Canada's greatest son, as I like to say, on July 2nd. And now we have the 4th of July today for my American listeners that I love so dear. I can't wait to go back to the States when all this craziness is done. I can't wait. You have to understand, I live right on the border. So for me, it's an easy trip. Literally, from me to the American border is a 30-minute drive, more or less. Then, of course, there's waiting line at the border, because Canadians are always sneaking in stuff, I guess. But, yeah, I love going to the States. Do you think there's any reasonable, easy way to catch factory thieves who's... it's really... Look, you know what's funny with that? I was talking about that with 2 Hasbro guys that I'm really close buddies with. I don't want to drop their names just because people might be watching. But, you know, there was a time where it was a big problem, and it was getting really bad in like that 2006 to like 2011 bubble, where, man, was theft a big issue. It was crazy how much theft was happening, where... like, it was visibly noticeable, they were saying, like, product, like, they'd be putting stuff together and, you know, all of a sudden stuff doesn't add up because someone would steal a figure and they'd leave the weapons behind, and you just see like, they would assemble figures, and why is there extra weapons? That doesn't make sense. Like, every sprue tree should always be even, you know? So it was getting really crazy. And you just have a whole bunch of weapons left over because someone stole, like, you know, 3, like, bumblebees off of a line. And then when they moved to Vietnam... it all of a sudden magically stopped. Like, just magically stopped for the Transformer product. And then out of nowhere, like, you know, people are getting smart to it again in Vietnam. They're going like, oh, hey, there's money to be made here. And it's a combination of YouTubers who have connections that make those contacts to steal stuff and then offer big money. Look, if you live in Vietnam and someone's offering you $200 American, that's good money in Vietnam. You know what I mean? And all you have to do is, like, you know, a bumblebee figure from your line, sure. So I mean, there's no way to combat it. The only way you could honestly combat it, the craziest way, is you gotta attack it from where you're involved in it. If someone does a review of stolen stuff, don't watch the video. Don't even go to the video to dislike. Just don't watch the video. If they realize that stolen content doesn't make them YouTube views, then they won't bother to waste their money. Like the guy who stole the hubcap, and I don't want to call him out or anything, but the guy who stole it, he didn't get a lot of views in the end because people were protesting it. And so in the end, whatever money he paid, it probably wasn't worth it from a YouTube monetization standpoint or a view standpoint. So keep that in mind too. That's the only way you could really fight it as a viewer. I don't want to go on a big rant on it because, like, you know, the thing is that, like, do I own stolen stuff in a sense? I own prototypes. I own stuff like that, but I got them from Hasbro employees. That actually was kind of their possession. I use the term stolen prototypes because there's stuff that would have been thrown out. You know, it's something that is usually given to employees. It's like, hey, you know, this is yours, and then I get it, you know. Some of my prototypes actually got quite legally, actually. I had to pay for them through auctions. Hard Heroes, which was a statue company that used to do Transformer stuff, they were auctioning off. They had like a storage locker where they used to keep all their prototypes, and they were just auctioning off everything. And so I bought a few of their prototypes of their statues just because it was so cool to own a piece of that history. And they were cheap. Some of them were cheaper than the actual statues when they were brand new, when you think about it. Yesterday I got Energon Quick Strike. Awesome. It's a cool, rare repaint. I love them so much, and I'm considering getting the bulkhead too. The bulkhead will be cheaper, and the bulkhead is like owning Ed 209 from RoboCop. Piece of history, that one. Alrighty, where are we at? I doubt it. Nick has a... Left batteries in my Xbox controller and it corroded. Yep. Don't leave batteries, man. You're gonna can't stress it enough. It's gonna screw you over in the long run. What is the story with effects parts melting on the Earthrise Siege figures? Not only Earthrise and Siege, but also the deluxe Cyber. God, my chair is really squeaky today. Gotta oil that. The deluxe Cybertron toys also have that same problem where if you leave it attached, because it's two different kinds of plastic, the plastic that's used on the weapons is soft vinyl. The figures themselves, depending on which line it is, in general it's ABS or SABS, and there's some kind of chemical reaction that's happening depending on the environment where it is. If you're in somewhere where, you know, you leave it in your room and that day the AC wasn't on, it gets really hot, it warps, it could damage the paint on the tip of the gun that you, let's say, the firing, you know, effect accessory is on. Some people have been reporting, I haven't seen it myself, but people have been reporting that it even cracks some of the plastic because it has a chemical reaction. It doesn't surprise me though. But definitely melting, 100%. It's PVC. It's PVC. PVC under any kind of heat condition becomes melty and stuff. Like people who do customs with wrestling figures, I know what they do is they just use hot water and they dip the figure in hot water. And, oh, we got a donation. But they didn't ask a question. Ask a question. I'll give you a shout out in a sec. Your name disappeared. But ask a question too, bro. Thank you for the donation. But yeah, so like they put it just in hot water and it actually makes it malleable. So if hot water, which I mean could reach between 20 and 40 C, you know, like Celsius. I'm using Canadian measurements here. Then if it could get really hot, if you're somewhere like in the south and it gets really hot in your room, or if it has direct sunlight, yeah, I could destroy it in some cases. I had a friend, he bought a cheap cell phone cover for his iPhone. He would charge his iPhone near his nightstand and his window, and it was a really hot day and the sun was hitting his phone, and then like the following morning, like his phone was just melted. Not like the phone, but the cell phone cover, because he got like a cheap like Chinatown iPhone cover. Where do you get your Transformer clothing from? Oh man, a lot of different places. Back in the day, because I'm an old man. Back in the day, I used to get all my Transformer clothing from a place called Hot Topic. It still exists, Hot Topic. It's still all over the States. They don't really carry... Hot Topic has become extremely expensive now and doesn't really carry as much Transformer clothing anymore. But they used to be the only place that had Transformer clothing. The cool Hot Rod chest shirt, which came out in 2006, was from Hot Topic. Now you can buy them anywhere. I even have a friend, Goober. Some people know him from TFCon. He makes his own shirt designs and he prints them out and everything. And I have quite a few of his shirt designs and stuff. Also, there's another cool person, Heather, also known as Slothimus Prime. She makes a lot of really cool shirt designs. A lot of these shirts that I wear at TFCon are usually her shirt designs, because she gets a booth every year at TFCon, and she'll like give me a shirt and she'll be like, wear it over the weekend, and I'll be like an advertisement for her. She makes a lot of really cool shirts. She has like one where it's like the hot rod chest, but it has the Matrix in the middle. And then she did another one which was like her, because she has like she's working on a custom, no joke, custom RV Rodimus Prime, like 1x1 real life one, and she has like an advertisement for her on a t-shirt and has the Rodimus Prime RV trailer. A lot of really cool stuff. Like I get a lot of different shirts from different places. Another Styling Online is another good one. Their prices are affordable. I get them all over the place. Hell, you know, like you go to Walmart and there's sometimes Transformer tees if they're nice. But I like stuff that's more Generation 1 veered, like that kind of design. I was actually thinking of one day, I found this really nice hoodie, like this really nice yellow hoodie. And I was thinking of like putting a Maximal logo on it and putting a blue zipper, like a dark blue zipper, and having like a Cheetor kind of hoodie. I would really like that. Maybe some, I don't know, some cat ears. I don't know. I was thinking to do it because there's no Beast Wars shirts. I would love to have something like that. I've never really seen like an officially released Beast Wars shirt. I've always seen like fan-made ones and stuff. That'd be super cool. Did you get your Wave 5 of the TCG yet? No, I didn't, Larry. They're supposed to send me stuff, but it's just been brutal right now. I don't know why all my shipping for stuff from different regions in the States have been delayed. the guys at the Transformers TCG said that they sent me a case. It's been, God, like almost a month now. I don't know what's happening with that. Where are we at? Curious what a modern day DeLorean would look like. Hopefully not made out of stainless steel, because that would not work today. Let me tell you what our gas prices. Being the biggest Rodimus fan, I know you own Duke Fire from Brave. Yeah, I actually do own him. I made the big mistake. I'll tell you this right now. If you own Duke Fire, don't store his sword and try to transform him into his like J Decker Duke Fire. I think it's called Super Duke Fire or something. You'll scratch the chrome on the sword. I actually got Duke Fire at BotCon 2012 when there was a guy that had a whole bunch of the Korean versions, which are exactly the same, just Korean boxes. And he was liquidating them. I forget which booth it was, and Duke Fire is cool. But I've always felt that Super Rodimus, which supposedly Duke Fire is based from, I always felt Super Rodimus was more of a retool of just G1 Inferno. That's how I always kind of looked at it. Like, if you really look at him, it's G1 Inferno. Because think about G1 Inferno, he has those two, like, wings that you could plug in. And I always felt like if you retool those wings as Hot Rod Spoiler, it would work, you know? I don't know, that's just what I always felt. I hope we get a full cast of Prime in RID because of 10th anniversary. Well, I'm glad that they started with RC, because that's an iconic one, and she would look really good. I hope she looks good. We've really only seen 3. Soundwave looks the best out of the 3, but Soundwave has a really simple design. But I'm really curious how RC is going to look. Get a good taste of something that isn't blocky G1, something that's more, curvy and everything, that more modern aesthetic. So that'll be cool. And same thing, Cheetor. I'm really curious how they're going to handle that one. RED for animated. Oh man, if we could get some animated characters that didn't get, if we could get Sorry. Oh man, there's one. Give me Sorry. We haven't gotten a decent Sorry figure outside of that terrible third-party one. Terrible third-party one. That 3-pack that we were giving away for free at 1TFCon. I think it was Captured Prey was giving them away, actually. What are your thoughts on the whole, if it can't transform, it's not a Transformer thing? It's been part of Transformers history for years. I own a ton of Transformers, like literally, like this is the Unicron Trilogy collection. What's that at the top? At the top? All stuff that's Unicron Trilogy that doesn't transform. PVCs, figures, toy model kits, Kabaya blind bag figures. Like, it's always been a part of Transformers' history. You know what? The only time you're allowed to be angry about that is if they release a toy that is a character that transforms and we don't have a transforming version of it. Like if they did a G1 accurate DevCon, and that was all we got, then I would understand that. But that's not the case. Like if for people to go like, it's not a Transformer. It is. It's just, let me tell you something. Like the RED line is a completely different marketing strategy by Hasbro, and it's something I'm going to get into in a video in the future because there's a lot going on there than people realize. It's a lot more than just a straight up like little action figure line. What are your thoughts on the that one I already read? Revenge of the Fallen question. In the beginning, the movie, we see the Ice Cream Twins, one of their best alt modes. Why did Skids have an Autobot symbol, yet Mudflap had a Decepticon? I want to think that was probably something that was supplemental story. If I remember correctly, there was the Tales of the Fallen books by IDW, and I think that the Ice Cream Twins, or Skids and Mudflap, I think one of them was a Decepticon before and then became an Autobot. And it comes from the fact that, like, when you look at the lore of Transformer history as a whole, like Skids is an Autobot. The Mudflap trademark was originally used on a Decepticon character, which was a Cybertron toy from 2006. That's like the first time it really was used. So I think that it was trying to stay true with that kind of stuff. Expect your hair to grow longer as the things get worse. Yeah, I know. It is so bad. You have no idea, guys, how bad this is. Like, look at this. It's like Dr. Wily's hair. I am dying for a haircut. But I will wait. I will wait. Where are we at here? scroll. I don't even see the donation one. So many questions were asked. I think they were going to do Marvel Legends. Yeah, of course. That's one part of it with the RED. It's Marvel Legends, but there's other stuff too. I'll definitely talk about it in the future. It's a whole thing. Walmart's has removed the scanners. It's the only way to scan stuff is via an app or BrickSeek. Oh, that sucks. Well, hopefully they'll bring them back one day, your scanners. But you can do that with other stores too. Combine War Sunstreaker and the MP before it. Yeah, see, I don't know. You have to ask Larry, who's in the chat. Larry would know. To me, what is me to Hot Rod Sunstreaker is for Larry in the chat. Shout out to Larry. I live in New York, and Centurion drone costs $40. What? God damn. Who is the worst Beast Wars character in your opinion? Ooh, that's a tough. Like, are we talking show or are we talking toy? Because show, I don't know. I love everybody in that show. Like, I could say who's probably the weakest in terms of characterization, but I don't hate him. Now it'd probably have to be Scorponok. And I don't even hate Scorponok, because he could be fun. Don Brown was a cool voice actor, and I still like the way he depicted him, but he's probably the most boring out of everybody, just because he's kind of the loyal character trope that didn't really do much. And it's like he was a scientist, but he wasn't. Not like Tarantulas with the Cyber Bee thing. But I still love it. I think, like, the worst Beast Wars character. Oh, we got another donation. I'll get to you in a sec, too, bro. You just faded off the screen. Too many people are asking questions. I'll get to you in a sec. I'll give you a shout out. But the worst Beast Wars character, to me, is better than some of the mid-tier G1 characters. So, because Beast Wars is awesome. It'll always be awesome. Will Starsaber or Diatlas ever return in animation? I think so. I think so. Just like how we got Wingsaber and Energon, and Wingsaber was a creation of Hasbro and Takara, kind of going like, hey, can we get this character to come back in some way? Wingsaber pretty much was Starsaber coming back. And the only reason why they didn't call him Starsaber was at the time you had the new, I guess we'll call it the new trilogy at the time, which was the prequels. And Hasbro was just like, well, we have the Star Wars lightsaber, and we don't want to put Star Saber together because that'll confuse people, so we'll call it Wing Saber. Because even though, like, what about X-Wing and Star? Anyways, that was their excuse. I remember at a BotCon they said that's why they went with the Wing Saber trademark instead of Star Saber, because they didn't want to mix up stuff. Diatlas, same story. Universe, oh, you can't see it from here. The Universe 1.0 had a character named King Atlas. We'll see it one day. Those characters, they'll find a way. They'll find a way. I love your videos, man. Keep it up. Thank you, Nathaniel. I will try my best every day to give you guys content as best I can. I think shipping should be lower costs. Yeah, well, me and you both, brother. Especially when Canada's, I mean, we're just chilling above you guys. We're not far. We need some proper obscure characters in retail. Bot, Autobots, Hound's Hologram. That's another one, too. Hound's Hologram. AKA what everyone thought was the Dinobot Combiner from faded memories of their childhood. What's up? Prime versus Prime as figures months before. Well, again, look. What am I gonna say? I don't want to bury guys, but it's just that's what it is. It is what it is, and that's how it works. Do you watch Chris McFeely? I am not familiar with who that is. Do you have Earthrise Scorponok yet? No, I don't. I would love to. My big man shelf, as I like to call it, has the spot waiting for him, going right next to Fortress Maximus, the Takara version, so I could get my Headmasters remake scene. But I do not have him yet. Again, a lot of that stuff hit when the quarantine happened, so even if the opportunity came, I didn't pick it up yet. So we got our donation from Common Pikachu. Common Pikachu, please ask a question. You didn't ask a question, you just did some dancing stuff there. Fist bump. I'll give you a fist bump, bro, with my hairy knuckles. How about that? Who does that fist bump? Who's the guy that does fist bump on YouTube? Some guy, some big YouTuber that does that. I forget who it is. Oh, he does ask a question. I apologize. Who do you think will be the next Titan class figure? I have a theory. I have a theory that they're probably going to revisit Metroplex again. And if they want to revisit Metroplex, they could do Metroplex and then give us a new figure finally with Metro Titan. That's what I want to believe, but they might throw a curveball and give me Grandis, and I would be equally as happy. Good day, Protoman. I watched your running out of space video, enjoyed it. I wanted to know, do you yourself throw away all majority of toy packaging? So if you actually look in that segment that I talked about running out of space, which was a Patreon listener question from one of my Patreon listeners. The thing is that if you actually look at it in the center of it, you see this recycling bin. So I opened up all my Revenge of the Fallen toys, and I'm talking like every Revenge of the Fallen toy, every Fast Action Battler, Scout, Leader Class, and I took every piece of packaging and put it in this like huge recycling bin, and I filled it to the top, and I couldn't even close it. Yes, I do. I get rid of, like, my rule is if it's masterpiece, rare Japanese, or like obscure Japanese stuff, I keep it. But 99% of retail I throw out. It's not going to do anything for me. There was a point where I was keeping, like, to give you I was keeping Armada packaging, Energon packaging, Cybertron packaging. Then I moved, I got this house, and I had literally huge boxes, and they weighed nothing, and I opened them up, and it's like this huge TV-sized box, and it was just packaging. And it was like this huge thing that's like, 4 foot by like 3 foot, taking space in my house, and it was just Armada, Energon, and Cybertron packaging. And I was like, what am I doing? And I like got rid of the bubbles, I flattened the boxes, and it still took a bunch of space. And then one day I just went, you know what? Whenever I find one of those figures loose in the wild, like for doubles when I sell at my parts parties, and some people might see this when they come to my parts parties at TFCon, now I just include the packaging with it. Hey, do you want this figure? I have the packaging with it too. Like, I'm just giving it away now, you know? Like, I can't be bothered with packaging. If it's a masterpiece, yeah, I keep it. Nice packaging, or some rare Japanese stuff, or some vintage G1. Yeah, I'm not going to throw those out. Or BotCon packaging. But 99%, like when these guys are going to get open, this is all gone. Sorry, Windblade, nice package art here, but we live in an internet era. Am I losing any kind of bios or anything? No, we have no more tech specs. We got no more bios. We got none of that now. So all I'm losing is a little piece of art that I could probably find on the internet in 5 seconds anyways. So that's the short answer to that. But yeah, I get rid of a lot. My logic is recycle it, send it back to the earth. Hasbro already is like, we're using too much packaging. It's not good for the planet. Recycle it then. I left an effect on my Siege Omega Supreme for a week and it scratched the paint. Yep, that's what's happening, man. Hoping we get Monstructor next. Monstructor, I think, is going to be, it'll be a regular release. Think about how we got the Seacons, because Monstructor is something that has a Japanese tie. We have Monstructor how we have it here, as, with those Pretender shells, and then we have Monstructor in Japan, which is Dino King. So I'm pretty sure we're going to probably see something done similar to how the Seacons were done, because of that double regional difference with that character, where as opposed to Menasor, Superion and some of the others, like, they're the same on both sides of the ocean. 80s T is another great site. I think I bought something from 80s T. Ninjatron, I think I bought something from 80s T's once. I forget which. They had really good stuff. Dark Renegade also. Shout out to Ninjatron. Shout out to Dark Renegade, my brother. Carlos. Hey, Daniel, what other 80s properties would you like to see crossover with Transformers? I actually talked about it a bit on my Twitter. I think the next logical one is going to be Knight Rider. Because you know what I think it is? It has to be 80s properties that have a really iconic vehicle. And when you think about that list, we're kind of running out of stuff. So you have like Kit from Knight Rider, maybe the A-Team van, the Mystery Machine, Ninja Turtles, like their Turtle Wagon. But the problem is with Ninja Turtles, like, that's 2 different toy companies who own those rights. So as, Playmates, are they going to want to work with Hasbro? I really doubt that. So that's one that I would like to see, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Who knows? They might want to work together. But we'll see what happens with that. Don't care for battle damage. Neither do I, unless it's part of the fictional explanation of the figure, but I don't care for it either. The very first MP Optimus came with battle damage when it was the American market. And the Japanese one, MP01, was virgin clean. What do you think if Generations focuses on something other than G1 like Beast Wars? Well, you know, Generations at one point would once in a while give us something like that. I would look. The reality is that from a money standpoint, G1 still sells, but I would like to see Beast Wars. If they did a whole Beast Wars line, you wouldn't hear complaints from me. But I do also understand and they still see money in G1, especially John Warden. You know, like not entirely Beast Wars. Yeah, exactly what I said. Like, you know what, I could see, like, you know, 2 Beast Wars characters, 2 G1s, and in the different price points, having fun with that. I customized my deluxe Cyber Hot Rod and turned him black into Sizzle. I'm surprised they didn't do a black repaint. Would have been cool. Oh no, it jumped down. One sec, guys. Hold on. Shout out to Stefan Joyce, who donated $5. Do you think there will be a new Thunder Clash? Well, let's put it this way. Number one, that's a trademark that isn't with Hasbro right now. We don't have the trademark of Thunder Clash. Will we see that color scheme? Yes, we will. Transformers Prime Beast Hunters, they did a Scout Class Optimus colored in Thunder Clash's colors. So someone clearly on the radar will do something like that. But right now we won't have an official Thunder Class until they re-trademark that name. He appears in the comics. That's not how a trademark works. That's how DC learned the hard way with Bumblebee. The female character Bumblebee, not the Transformer character, the DC superhero. Where are we at here? Really want an RED Dinobot. I would love that too, even though I own the Masterpiece, which is beautiful. Shout out to Ian for hooking me up with that one. RED is the new Action Masters now. No, I don't. I disagree with that statement. You know what? Action Masters always, like, Action Masters still had a transforming component with them. Sure, they didn't transform, but the weapons did. So they still, like, you know, that's why, like, the Action Master gimmick was more like that. I think, like, you know, Transformer Action Masters, like, you could argue, like, I mean, no one ever argues about all the PVC stuff that we got throughout the years, the Tiny Titans and stuff like that. But I don't know. I wouldn't call them Action Masters. Again, I'm going to get into that in a topic in the future. Speaking of which, it would be cool if they do a Bonsaitron. Yeah, I think we're due for a new Bonsaitron, and that's a trademark they do have. They do have a, you know, that's something you should probably look up when the last Bonsaitron toy was, and it could give you an idea on if we're going to get another one anytime soon. And not something that's just a bludgeon repaint. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Trying to just filter through everything here. They look cool. RID seems cool. Where's that Unicron from Hasbro at? Wouldn't that be crazy, eh? If we get like a not even a build-a-figure, if we got like a huge Hasbro Takara Transformers RED Unicron, or just the head even, that'd be crazy. Imagine just the head, like 1-to-1 scale. That'd be crazy. Will there be a crossover with Power Rangers and Transformers? It would be cool. I actually did a video about that. Someone asked me what I would like a full fleshed out Transformer fictional series to be, and I brought up a Power Rangers one. And I went into deep detail how I would write the story. Pretty crazy, actually. And I actually like thought heavily about it too. I love Transformers. Will we ever get a new Cosmos toy? I think so. Again, that's a trademark that they still have. They're not going to let that trademark expire. They're going to use the trademark again, and then they're going to make a Cosmos out of something. It's just a matter of where they put that. It might suck, and it might end up on a small little PVC tiny turbo changer, but we also might get a decent figure. Or it might be like a Bumblebee Movie 2 Cosmos figure, and it's a Scout class. You never know, you know? But we will get another one in the future. Okay. Larry is busy making a new Transformers TCG deck. Who here likes Mask, as in Mobile Assault Specialist Command Unit? I love Mask. As a kid, that was a toy line that I actually got more toys of than even Transformers because they were really cheap for some weird reason. Um, I had the Thunderhawk. It was my first Mask toy. Still have that same Thunderhawk to this day that I had as a kid back when I was like 4 years old. I've always felt that Mask would work well with G.I. Joe, but also would work well with Transformers. And if anything, IDW showed that it is possible. Do you have the Mech Ideas, Tiny Toons, Bluster, and Trench, but as Mario and Luigi? Not only do I have it, but I worked on the comic for it and stuff, and Josh Perez did the box art. And I'm looking at them right now, and I love those guys to death. I think they are amazing. If so, I would like to try to hunt them down, but probably fail. No, they're on eBay. They're on eBay. They're obviously, look, they were sold, if I remember correctly, they were sold at TFCon brand new for $100. That's how much they were. And then they spiked in price at one point at like $500. And I think they've evened out now on eBay. I think now they're like 100, 150, maybe even cheaper. So they're out there. Just type TFCon 2012. I think it's 2012, Bluster and Trench, or 2013. Just type TFCon Bluster and Trench. You'll find it. They're not that tough to get. But they're amazing, and I love them. And they should have done more repaints of it. They should have done Wario and YEG. They should have done, like, you know, Fire Mario and Star Power Luigi. They should have done so many repaints of that mold. But Mech Ideas kind of went under, unfortunately, so that kind of sucks. It really doesn't bother me if they don't transform because they already have Transformers that do. Yep, that's what I say. Like, again, it would only bother me if it was characters that we never got good toys of. But, I mean, getting an Optimus Prime that doesn't transform when we got so many other Optimus Primes that don't transform of the same design doesn't surprise me. You're talking to a guy that has statues of Transformers and PVCs and all kinds of other stuff that doesn't transform. So, it doesn't make a difference. I think it's kind of silly to complain about it when we have Earthrise Leader Class Optimus Prime on the shelf, and there for $20 is the RED one. You have your options, so there's no point of complaining about it. Some people would just want to have a... Again, I'm going to get into that in a segment. There's so much to dip into. RED, Marvel comic style Primus and Unicron. Yes. Primus done in his celestial, hot rod looking design. Chosen one craziness. I would love that. Is your first MP Megatron the worst masterpiece? Is the first MP Megatron the worst masterpiece? I don't know. I don't know about that one. I'm looking at them right now. He is unique. He has that rust issue that even mine finally suffered from after all these years. And maybe. It's debatable. I mean, it's definitely, you know, it definitely is what it is for its time from an engineering standpoint. There should be, but updated now. I don't know what's going on with that. Are you planning on getting the 6-inch G.I. Joes? Select characters. If they do a Dusty, Dusty's easily my favorite G.I. Joe character. He's a little obscure, but as a kid, one of the first G.I. Joe episodes I ever saw was The Traitor, Part 1 and 2 with my neighbor, and I love the character of Dusty. So if they do a Dusty, I'll 100% pick him up. I have like all the Dusty figures throughout the years. I love him. He's such a cool character, especially how he was in the comics too, in the Marvel comics. But I'm going to pick up probably Baroness. That Radical Destro caught my eye. I was tempted to get him, but I don't know, maybe not. I'm probably, I don't know. I'll see which ones. I'm very particular with G.I. Joe. There's very specific characters I get. Like, you know, like if they have like a really good hooded Cobra Commander, like a really nice one with the hood, because that's kind of like my Cobra Commander. I like him with the hood as opposed to the battle mask. I'd get something like that too. Which Sunstreaker came before? Oh, okay, he's asking Larry. Larry. Retail. Classic. You don't count Creo. There you go. See, Larry knows what he's talking about. Hi, Protoman. Hi, Patrick. Do you have any Netflix Transformers, TF Transformers? None yet. I have not seen them yet because I haven't ventured to Walmart yet during the quarantine. So, if so, which was your favorite? Well, of the bunch that I've seen thus far, the most interesting to me is Scraper or Scrapper or whatever his name is. Like the one that's the repaint of Reflector. I think it was Scraper. What did they call him? They gave him some name because he's a new character. All the others, they're okay. Maybe that rung repaint. Maybe I'll want that one too. But I have to get that 2-pack there. That spoiler pack. Where are we at here? I wonder if the figures in Transformers RD will scale with each other like Studio Series. I'm going to assume they do like Marvel Legends. But that's a whole other story. Do you think they'll make new Drift figure for the War for Cybertron trilogy? Possible. I could see that. I could see another new Drift figure being done. But the thing is, I think more now what we're going to be seeing when we're venturing into this new era of generations is that it's going to be tied with fiction. So if Drift is in fiction, with that, it almost makes sense now. Where before it was kind of an open book. You know, it was kind of like, oh, okay. Like, you know, we could do any kind of characters and there's no fiction dictating what characters should exist. Look, we have a whole bunch of repaints now of these Siege toys because of fiction. So I'm pretty sure that's going to play into a lot of things too in the future when it comes to deciding characters. What crossover do you want to see? If I could do anything, like any crossover, I'd like to see Mega Man. But that's just my own personal opinion. It wouldn't make sense, but I'd like to see it. Just so I could have a Protoman Transformer. Maybe use Roundabout as the base mold. You do for the late comic books or even Sunstreaker. Do you have the gold chrome G1 Jazz or the blues? I have the gold chrome G1 Jazz. I don't. Which what you're referring to is the eHobby G1 reissues. I don't have the silver chrome blue streak. Those are kind of hard to see. Where are they? They're all my eHobby stuff is all over here, but the museum lighting. See these lights? It's nice and crisp and white, and these are kind of yellowy. These are museum lighting that don't damage vintage figures when they're exposed to it. I don't care about new product if it gets yellowed. It's not worth a crazy ton of money. Knight Rider Transformers, that would work. Of course it would work. Sentient car. Sentient car that doesn't transform. Peter Cullen voice used in one episode for Carr, Karr, who was one of the villains in Knight Rider. There's so much crossover there. That would make sense. They'll do a kit, and then they'll do a car. And then they'll get Peter Cullen to do voices in that. And you can push a button and it'll talk. So much opportunities there. What do you think of third-party upgrade kits? I own a bunch of them. I own a bunch, but I haven't bought any in a very long time because a lot of them don't appeal to me as much. But back in the day when it was a novelty, like I used to buy them a lot. Do I have any of them? All the early Fans Project stuff from City Commander, Protector, Shadow Scyther. What other ones? I bought one that turns the deluxe Starscream from classics into King Starscream. Any of those Head Robot stuff. I own quite a few, but it's all a lot of the more older ones, if anything. Transformers X Ninja Turtles is not totally impossible. There was Transformers X. Yeah, it's true. And that was Mattel, eh? Is that Mattel? Yeah, I think that was Mattel that did it with them. I don't know. Maybe Mattel and Playmates were willing to play nice, but do you think Hasbro and Playmates would be willing to play nice? That's a question. I don't know. Okay, let's scroll up more. So many questions here. My personal wish is for Transformers X007. But yeah, see, here's the thing. Aston Martin. Now you got to get the 007 trademark and licensing and Aston Martin to play ball too to deal with that. So, And then you're asking which 007. Which one do you want to do? Which iconic car? Because then they did BMWs at one point. I think Pierce Brosnan ones used BMWs. Collaboration line that can include Dukes of Hazzard line. Star Trek I could see too, because they already tested the waters with that, with comics and stuff, so I could see Star Trek. Starsky and Hutch. I thought Nickelodeon Viacom owned Ninja Turtles brand. Well, they own the brand, but it's called the Master Toy License. Who has the Master Toy License right now? And I believe it's Playmates, so they'd have to talk with them, because they pay for that. They pay by that by contract. But yeah. Siege mold for Optimus and Ultra Magnus should get remolded into Nova Prime and Sentinel Prime, respectively. Talk to Hasbro. They would probably be interested to see that happen. I would love to see Sentinel Prime be tackled again. The last one we got was that Titan Returns one, eh? That was used for Astro Train later. Where we go? Where are we at here? What do you make of the recent Netflix promotion posters featuring Cybertronian letters that spell out the words "Kingdom"? I don't know what it means, right? Like, there's like, it's funny that we're being shown like all these teasers of this series, and there's still so little we know about it. And what's crazy is like we know so little, and then when we're gonna actually see it, it's only gonna be 6 half-hour episodes, so we're gonna get only like a small little nibble. So I almost feel like they're hyping it so much, and it's gonna make people disappointed. I don't know why. But we'll see. We'll see. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong, and I want to believe that this Netflix series is going to be amazing, and it's going to have a nice, adult, upper, let's see, like that 16 and plus market writing style that, like, Batman the animated series and X-Men had back in the 90s, but, or even Beast Wars season 2 onward. But at the same time, we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to judge something until I've seen it. G1 Earth Mode Ironhide as Mystery Machine. Yep. Someone did that years ago. Someone did a custom using, what was the name? Toe Line from Energon. Turtles got licensed out of DC Collectibles for Batman. And again, DC Collectibles is Mattel, at least was at the time. And now I believe it's Todd McFarlane who has the Master Toy license. So, like, Mattel is willing to probably play games a lot easier than the biggest toy company in the world, like Hasbro, that probably knows they don't need to play with anybody. Do you know anything about Volinger? I know a lot about Volinger. The Transformers Victory main baddie that was rumored to be a mutated Quintesson, which later on, spoiler, ended up being the Dead Sparks of Decepticons. Would have been cool if he got a toy, but because it was a story page only character with one manga story and then a whole bunch of story pages that were written out as if there would have been an OVA series, I would have loved to know more about him. He's a cool character. Very mysterious character, like Devil Z. But that's kind of what Transformers was going for, these more interesting, mysterious characters behind the scenes. Where are we at here? Ninja Turtles crossover could work. We are in the dining for a new Hopper and Pipes. I think it means we're in for a new Huffer and Pipes, and I believe so. I think I'd like to see a new Huffer and Pipes, especially Pipes. I like Pipes and Huffer too. I like the mini bots. I always say I love mini bots. Is there an old generation's Wreck-R? Is the old generation Wreck-R a good mold? I've heard it's got problems. I don't know. It's definitely it's been used quite a few times because it had its first release, then it had that 3-pack whatever with Rodimus. They did like a premium pack there, which had different color scheme. Then there was the Insecticon colored BotCon ones. I mean, I didn't have any problems with it. I mean, it's not, like, proportionally, it's not accurate to how it looked in, let's say, the 86 movie. But at the same time, I don't hate it. But I think it's something where if you didn't get it yet, they will do probably another Wreck-R toy in the future. They just kept the trademark because they took that. Remember they had the little Groove? Remember Groove? He had a little Legend scale figure. They repainted that as Wreck-R so they could keep the trademark longer. So that's going to be expiring soon. So I'm pretty sure maybe that Studio Series 1986 line, maybe we'll see a Wreck-R. That'd be cool. That would be cool. What are your predictions for the next Commander class? Starsaber or Deathsaurus or Starsaber. I want Starsaber. But that's what I would like. What will they do? I don't know. I was honestly thinking for the longest time that Scorponok was going to just be put in the Commander class and they weren't going to bother with a Titan. I thought they were going to kind of lean in that route because I thought Titans were going to have a difficult time. Oh, we had a donation. Shit, I missed it. Xenomorph asks, Hasbro Pulse Unicron or Zeta Unicron? So here's the thing with that. Hasbro Pulse Unicron, I feel, is best to display in robot mode for its height and imposingness. And then the Zeta one, while it has all those little fine details and stuff, I'll probably have, like, because I have both coming. I'll have that displayed in planet mode. But if I had to pick one, let's say money wasn't an option, I'd still lean more towards the Hasbro one. I kind of just like what it looks as a product in the end. But the Zeta one's cool too. It has its little, I like the little details that are on the inside and everything. So, you know. Where are we at here? No word on Top Gun collaboration Maverick. Seems like it's a fake. I don't think so. I don't think it's a fake. I think we just saw something extremely early, and we weren't supposed to. Sorry for my squeaky chair. They made a Transformers Power Rangers line. I have a Red Ranger. It's not that good, but it's fun. It's like fun. Oh, you're talking about the... You know, there was a Power Ranger line that had transforming Rangers. I had that too. I think that was Zeo started that, where they had the Zeo Rangers and they had transforming aspect to the Rangers. I know what you're talking about though. I love Transformers crossover with Star Wars again. That was a fun line. The QC on it wasn't that great though. The line got better later on, but in its early inception, it had some of the worst quality and plastic control issues ever consistently in a Transformer line. Grievous shatters to pieces. The Millennium Falcon, Han Solo and Chewie shatters to pieces. The Luke Skywalker, the legs will break because it's literally like two thin pieces of plastic holding the legs. The Darth Vader, the paint that was used on the lightsabers leak onto the figure. They have a bunch of problems. A bunch of problems. Later on, it got better. But man, that opening wave was a mess. Transformers collaboration Batmobile. I would love to see that. There's only a bootleg of that, so I'd love to see something official. Yo, what's going on, people? It's Aaron Archer! Aaron Archer in the house. Give a shout out to Aaron. Bored on this Saturday, Aaron? I know I am. Figured I'd do a stream with this squeaky chair. Ugh. Got to get a new chair. Where are we at here? You could have so many eras of Batmobiles. Oh, well, the question is, which Batmobile would you want to use then? I mean, obviously, probably the easy answer would be the 89, Tim Burton one. But, I also have a soft spot for that Superpowers, Kenner, not Kenner. Was it Kenner? I think it's Kenner did Superpowers. Who did Superpowers? Oh, man, now I'm forgetting. I think it was Kenner, yeah. Superpowers, Kenner, Batmobile, that style that was done. Love that one too. That was another really good one. Obviously, the Adam West one. But yeah, everyone's going to lean more towards the Tim Burton one. Okay, what do we got here? Question, how many times do you revisit your figures? Quite a bit, actually. Quite a bit. A lot of times... I'll be listening to like a podcast or something, like some of my podcasts, and like I'll just be like sitting around and I'll just like, I remember that guy and mess with him. Sometimes to my detriment. Like I know like in the past it'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna like, and this happened obviously years ago, but like when you didn't know about GPS and how prevalent it was, and it'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna mess with Beast Wars Grimlock. I love how really cool, and then snap, But, I mean, I think that's how GPS gets discovered, is sometimes people go back and they revisit their figures and they realize how some of the old ones just didn't have a long-term impact. What are your opinion on Action Masters? I think they're cool. I think they introduced a whole bunch of new characters that I would love to see one day get fleshed out Transformer figures. We got Bonsaitron from it. I would love to see Mainframe turned into an actual Transformer figure one day. I don't have a problem with Action Masters. Where Transformers was as a brand back in 1990, 1991, competing with the likes of Ninja Turtles, which were way cheaper toys than Transformers, Like when you're talking like Bumblebee was an MSRP of $6 and a Ninja Turtle toy was 3 American, and Action Masters come around to compete with that, obviously years later, you know, I have no problem with what Action Masters were. The climate for Generation 1 Transformers back then, you had no reason to say, like, oh, it needs to be this again, because what came after Action Masters? After Action Masters, which was the tail end of G1, what did they do? They gave us G2. What was G2? Transforming Generation 1 1984 repaints, 1985 stuff, and new product. And did that get received well? G2 was surviving. So, you know, you could say, like, oh, Action Masters, meh. But at the same time, like, look what came only a year and a half afterwards, and it didn't help the brand either. So I understand what they were trying to do with Action Masters. Hasbro was very good with, like, looking at what the climate was at the time and what was popular with other toy lines and what is the market and what is the play pattern that people are playing with, and going, how do we integrate that into our own brands? You know, you take like the Transformer brand and you go, oh wow, Pokemon's doing really good right now for our Hasbro division of Pokemon with Tommy, blah 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 blah. Then you get Armada with the collectability, small little figures, gotta catch them all. You know, then you look at like, oh wow, Bakugan is like a really popular brand where you're throwing stuff and it transforms and it's really popular with the kids and is doing gangbusters. Then you get Bot Shots with Transformers. You know, you look at Lego with Creo, like I could go on, but it's just, and that's just with the Transformer brand. Ninja Turtles is just as guilty for that. You know, Ninja Turtles, they went, oh wow, look at Polly Pocket and Mighty Max, that's doing really well for them. And then Ninja Turtles did their own little like Polly Pocket-esque kind. I think they were called Mini Mutants or something by Playmates. So it's something that any company is known for doing that. And Action Masters was a product of that 1990s, 1991. Ninja Turtles is just killing it, doing very well. And then you have at the same time, while Ninja Turtles is killing it, you know, Batman Returns is out. You know, the Batman Returns figures and the Batman Dark Knight line is selling very well. All these action figures are selling incredibly well. Let's take our Transformer brand, create action figures, and see if it'll do well. Obviously, it didn't exactly reignite interest in the brand, but you saw what they were trying to do. They did that with Lego for 007. Sorry for that long rant on that, but it's something that people always need to understand. Is there a price yet for the Back to the Future crossover? Yes, it was $39.99. We don't know what the non-exclusive one will be yet. You mentioned the quality of Walmart Hot Rod reissue seems inferior to the previous release. Which reissue line do you think is the best one? Well, it's just specifically those Walmart ones recently. Hasbro has had to do little tweaks to them just to have them affordable in the modern market. You can't use if Hasbro doesn't use a metal pin for Hot Rod shoulder and instead uses a loose peg, they save money on having to use metal and they just use a clip-in peg instead. So, I mean, that's the differences with that one. In terms of what's the best reissue line, I guess the Takara book box stuff is pretty awesome. But a lot of the Japanese reissues were pretty dead on. They didn't have to worry about safety issues and stuff. Like the Takara book box stuff, when it was ported in America, and it had like the orange kind of boxes on them, some of them had to be, changed for safety regulations and stuff. So missiles were elongated or little things were changed here and there. Some of the weapons that were chrome for certain characters, like Blue Streak, were made like a matte black, so they weren't accurate to their original versions. So I would say Takara Japanese book box reissues, those are the best. They have nice boxes with little inserts and everything. They could be pricey though, but they're really cool. Where are we at here? I would like to see a G1 Sentinel Prime. I would love to see that done in old school style. Where are we at here? Just got 2 third-party Transformers in the mail today. Gears and the Black Arachnia from Transform Element. That looks really cool. That I'm actually tempted to pick up myself. I want to pick it up in person when we get back to convention season. That's going to be definitely high on my list. Even though I have the Masterpiece one, but even that little one, it's really cool. I really like it. I like the engineering on it. Just got Wreck-Gar and Junk Heap last week. Yeah, those guys are interesting molds, and I'm pretty sure we're due for another one. Any chance we may get a sleep mode Megatron? Well, there never really was a sleep mode Megatron. The closest we would get is a Megatron that's all busted up. And then I guess we'll call it not sleep mode Megatron, but thrown out of the shuttle Megatron in this case. Do you own the Brave franchise? Do you mean figures or the animations? I have Gal Geiger on DVD, complete, except for Final, which never got an American release. The rest of Brave I own all in AVI files on my computer. In terms of Brave toys, a lot of it. A lot of it. A lot of Gal Geiger, a lot of Jay Decker, a lot of X Kaiser. Very little of the other ones, unfortunately. Firebird, I think, is the one that I have the least of, I'd have to say. Where are we at here? Sunrise owns Brave, unfortunately, for the animation. Where are we at? They did a Rekgar more recently. It was a repaint of Deluxe Combiner Wars Group. Oh, yeah, that's right. That is right. I actually have that nearby here somewhere. Where the hell is that? I know that I had one loose somewhere because I didn't open it because I was thinking of selling it because someone wanted it, and I was like, I don't really need it. Yeah, you're right. So that's another new one to pump up that. Where are we at here? Hasbro has a lot of kibble. Do you think the double dealer could be a major? Yeah, I was the one who suggested that on Twitter, where double dealer could definitely be Deathsaurus. 100%. If you kind of go on Twitter and like do, I guess, like at Protoman and then type Deathsaurus, like you'll see my image. I kind of like gave comparisons of why I think it'll work. And then he'll just end up with a tank mode that he never had, pretty much. Or you just ignore it. Did you get most of the Siege line? Also, my Chevy just broke today. We'll cover that in two parts. Number one, did I get most of the Siege line? I got most of it, but most of it I got on clearance. The only stuff that I'm missing from the Siege line is that late wave stuff. Like, I never got Rung, and I really want to get Rung from Siege. So hopefully I could find him. Supposedly he was reissued in Earthrise. Like, literally not the pink one, like regular one. They reissued him. So I'm going to try to track him down. I have most of Siege, not all of it, unfortunately. Also, what happened to your Chevy, and why did it break down? I'm actually genuinely curious about that as a mechanic. I hit the beach today. Which Bakhan box set was your favorite? Ooh. Well, I have to be not biased with the ones that I worked on. So I'll have to say the Bakhan 2011 box set. The animated one, easily, was the best one. But yeah. Aaron Archer is here. Yes, Aaron Archer is here. If you have anything to say to Aaron, thank him for his hard work in the Transformer brand for more than, let's see, you started with Transmetal 2, so that would be 1999. And then you went until 2013 with trickling of stuff into 2014. The ghost of Aaron Archer, stuff that Aaron worked on that was long there after he was gone. So thank him for all of that. How bad was the GPS on the Linkin Park Soundwave figure? I don't know. I never messed with it. There's GPS on it? Are you serious? I hope not. Oh, man. Is that true? Is there? Okay, I hope there isn't. Now I'm worried. I paid a lot for that stupid thing. I hope that's not true, Rhino. I think Titan Returns Metal Hawk has GPS, but not in the gold and the wing parts. Yeah, that one. There's been rumors of that one that it does have swirl marks on the plastic. So be careful with your Titan Return Metal Hawk. Does Takara Hasbro own the rights to the Brave stuff, or does Sam? It falls into this weird category where it's like kind of like Bandai recently has been. If there has been product, some of it has been done by Bandai, and then they license it out. But that really depends if it's like Gal Geiger and everything. And then like when we had the Masterpiece Brave X Kaiser, that was Takara. So it's kind of a weird area. I don't really know the answer for that one. That's something that's a part of the world I don't really like have anyone to talk to about that. Was messing with my Beast Wars Rampage, second time since I got him secondhand. His knee snapped. Yes. Oh my God. So Rampage, that reddish plastic that's used for his lower torso is starting to degrade a lot of them. I did a parts party at TFCon 2 years ago. I took out Rampage out of the box. I put him on the, like, you know, my where my parts party is, so my bed table, I guess I'll call it. Someone comes in the room, picks up the Rampage and looks at it and goes, "Hey man, it's missing a leg." And I was like, "What?" I looked in the bin that he was in, and the leg snapped off clean, and that was junk. Like I didn't even know what to. And I told the guy, "Hey, you want it for $5?" Because at that point you can't fix it. Like you'd have to literally like find a junker one, unscrew the leg and everything. We got another donation by Xenomorph. What is your opinion on the new Masterpiece RC? Oh, and it faded away. Hold on, Xenomorph. It disappears on the screen here, and then I got to find it here. What is your opinion on the new Masterpiece RC? Are you going to get it? Yes, I will get it. I will get the new Masterpiece RC. I do feel, yeah, there is stuff that's kind of weird with, you know, the way the transformation is. I'm reminded of back in the day, there was a statue of RC that was released by, it wasn't Hard Heroes, I think it was done by Sculptor Soft. It was another company. And it looked really good from one angle, the statue, but from every other angle, it looked weird. And I feel it's kind of the same way. I think RC is going to be one of those toys that, like, when it's done in photography, you get some really nice angles, but otherwise, it's going to be one of those figures that also have really ugly angles. But I really like it. I really like it. I'm still excited about it. I like the extra effort that they did to put all the little extra accessories and nods to every piece of weaponry and stuff that she had through all of the 86 movie and season 2. So I dig it. I'm going to pick it up 200%. It wasn't even a question. I was going to pick it up. A new rad figure would be rad. Excuse me, rad movie, because there's a movie called Rad that I love. Yeah, I'd love a new rad figure. Supposedly, Cybertron Smokescreen had a repaint that was supposed to be an homage to Rad, according to, I forget who it was. One of the Hasbro members said that in an interview. I forget who it was. I think it was mentioned on the website or something. Happy 4th of July. Yes, happy 4th of July to all my American listeners too. Mentioned at the top of the podcast. I'll say it again. Fireworks and all, my friends. Bandai can make their own Brave merchandise if they want. Yeah, like there's something weird with that Ninjatron, like how it's done. Like I don't know how the toy license works with it. Aaron Archer says, we pitched licensed entertainment vehicles in 2016 or so for your information. And there you go. To answer that. Hasbro looked into releasing Takara Brave, but never did, and Takara released Brave stuff. It's because they got... Well, not to mention, like, Kabaya works with Takara very closely, and Kabaya did a whole bunch of Brave stuff, too, at one point. I have a whole bunch of them. They were made... And when I say recent, I mean maybe, like, 6 years ago. But they did a whole bunch of little Kabaya kits and everything, so it's a very weird relationship. And those Kabaya kits had Jay Decker, Firebird, X-Kaiser, and God, what was the fourth one? I don't remember, but it was there too. Hasbro looked into releasing Takara Brave. Okay, sorry about that. Trying to find it. It always scrolls up and then goes back down, so I keep rereading the questions. What paint brands do you use for a custom TFA Jazz? Well, I use paint when I used to do Gundam model kits. I would use Tamiya, but I don't know if Tamiya kits, they're good for Gundam model plastic and stuff like that. I don't know if they'd be good for the different plastics that are used for toys, especially like when you're talking the unpaintable plastics on a Transformer animated Jazz in certain areas. Everything's molded plastic, so I don't know. You'd have to ask someone that does customs, like Transformers. He's like probably like the best, or Duncan, Dak. Those are two guys that really know their customs. There's quite a few others too. There's Sixo, there's Grimlockamus, Cheetamus is another really good customizer. They're all on Twitter. They would know. They would know. Which is your favorite figure within reach? Within reach? Nothing's within reach. That's a Bionicle. That's within reach. That's the only thing within reach. Amazingly, nothing is within reach. I can't even look. They're too far away. Oh, I can't even reach that figure there. Do you have a Transformers Prime Voyager breakdown? Yes, I do. I don't have the Silas version, though. Someone wanted to sell it to me for $170, and I was like, no, thank you. Ad wants to know to Aaron Archer, are you ahead of your time? You were ahead of your time in many ways. Big fan of your work on Transformers. That's very nice of him. For information, Hasbro has no rights to the Brave stuff. Takara has a separate deal with the Japanese, and we never could use the molds because of this. Yep, there you go. Well, that's why, like, it's always been like the Takara has some kind of relationship with Sunrise, and then there's some kind of weird stuff because Bandai does stuff, and then sometimes they don't do stuff. I know, like, again, Gal Geiger specifically was one of them where it's like, oh, Bandai once in a while still puts out Gal Geiger merchandise. And it's good luck on a cheap Junker Rampage. Yeah, just hope for one day we'll get a good new Rampage, and then maybe that Rampage will take a dive. No problem, Xenomorph. Thank you for the donation again. There we have it. Thanks, Aaron. Heard from the source. No, that's bypass. Speaking of AA, Armada Scavenger is amazing. Actually, Aaron Archer, if you follow him on his Twitter, not his Twitter, excuse me, his Instagram, he's been posting a whole bunch of Transformers Armada sketches, and he made an amazing Armada Scavenger. Armada Scavenger also, Ian, in my opinion, is like one of those figures that really needs to get revisited. I loved the character in the show, and he just, he had that blocky, gimmicky toy, which was kind of a shame, and then he had a PVC figure. So, but yeah, check out Aaron Archer's Instagram. Aaron, if you could maybe, I don't know, type it out. Maybe you could type the link, and people could go check it out. Check out all your stuff and follow your artistic awesomeness. Do we have any clue when Generations Armada Prime is going to come out? Everyone keeps asking me about that. We don't know what's happening with that thing. I think that if we would have had a Wonder Festival or an SDCC, we might have learned more, especially Wonder Festival, because that seems like whenever we see it. I think it'll come out. I think maybe they're just waiting for the anniversary of Armada or Micron Detsetsu. So we'll see what happens. I'm partial to Hotshot, Optimus Prime, and Megatron. Megatron was a really good Armada toy, especially Megatron. Optimus too. Revolutionary in my opinion. Conjoined Megatron and Ratchet from the Marvel Comics. It was the most terrifying thing in the Transformer franchise. Definitely that cover for sure. I think so. I don't know. There's quite a few weird stuff in Transformers. I think that first episode that Botanica appeared in, they tried to make it like a horror kind of episode. Like The Thing. Not was it The Thing? Yeah, it was The Thing. The horror movie. I would never drive a Chevy. Meant Chevy. Meant Chewie. Yeah, that the Chewie Transformer will break for sure. Yeah, because that's GPS like crazy. The Han Solo Chewie one. The Han Solo one doesn't have the GPS. It's the Chewie half that does. That'll always break. It's like Werther's Originals. Have you ever had the hard candy? It's like that kind of quality. It'll just break. Last I saw Takara, they were figuring out what to do with it. Aaron Archer says, Ninja, the Energon combo gimmick, was inspired by the Gal Geiger combo toys, referring to the brothers of Enryu and Kyoryu, which had the half-half gimmick to combine, or as it was called in Gal Geiger, symmetrical docking. Trademark. The closest we had to that actually in Transformers years later would be Jetstorm and Jetfire in Transformers Animated, and Derek Wyatt himself even confirmed that. It makes me wonder if we would have ever got different repaints of those halves. We would have got cool stuff. Cool stuff. Oh, everything's slipped over. One sec, gotta do some scrolling. Who is your favorite Bionicle character? I like Tahu, that was mentioned before. I like Motaro. No spoiler why I like him. And who else? Who else is kind of cool? I guess Kopaka. Kopaka's like the Wolverine of Bionicle, the lone wolf character. Those three. I'll go with those guys. Brave Toys were some of the best Transformers ever. They definitely were some of the most interesting engineered ever, that's for sure. And some of the most amazing designs. Yeah, Bandai made a spin-off Gal Geiger called Better Man. Yep. If you want to watch Gal Geiger before you go into Final, you have to watch Better Man episodes so you kind of know what's going on too. Because some characters just show up. Where are we at here? I have to sneeze. 1 sec. Oh, and it went away. Oh my god. Woo. You ever had that when you have to sneeze and it doesn't happen? Which Transformer has your favorite color scheme? Ooh. That's a tough one. Favorite color scheme? Well, my two favorite colors in the world is red with yellow. They just always go together well. And certain characters that I like always seem to have those color schemes. But I don't know, that's a tough one because some Transformers have some really wacky stuff going on. You know, like Toxitron with that like neon kind of like green and everything. You never see that much on Transformers outside of like the Constructicons and the odd construction vehicle character and stuff. I don't know. It's tough to say. Archer Monster _creative on Instagram. So if you guys want to check out his Instagram, he's recently been posting a bunch of cool Armada art and some other stuff too. If you go through his stuff, he has a lot of art. So again, Archer Monster _creative on Instagram for Aaron Archer's Instagram account. Check it out, yo. They closed the Chug Armada Prime thread on TFW because they were bumping the thread without any new info. Yeah, because everyone keeps asking. That I get asked that so much because people think like I have an insider knowledge of that. Anything on the Japanese side, I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know. Like they're very quiet over there. Animated Safeguard was an interesting idea. I agree. Well, it was a cool idea, and it's a shame they didn't repaint it more. Like that's one of those animated molds that never got repaints. So it would have been cool, like that you could get like different color schemes, and you would have all these mixes and matches you could have done. So that would have been really cool. Oh, it's true. Takua. That's another really cool character too. He was like Kid Goku, mostly because of his voice, I would imagine. Let's scroll down a little bit. Do you think about the names of the movies and how Revenge of the Fallen being Revenge of the Sith, and how Age of His Thinking being Age of Ultron? I don't think there's any. I don't think they were done like that on purpose. I think that's more coincidence, if anything. And considering a lot of those movies that you named, with the exception of Revenge of the Sith, came after the Transformer ones, and I doubt Star Wars is looking to Transformers for inspiration for titles. And same thing with Marvel. I don't think Marvel was like sitting around going like, you know what, we need to name our Ultron Avengers sequel. What is Transformers doing right now? I think Transformers is looking at Marvel and going, what could we do to get some of that pie? In your opinion, do you think it's worth tracking down the rest of the Japanese G1 box reissues? Well, see, here's the thing. If you're collecting Japanese G1 box reissues, it's more because you want to own minty complete G1 Transformers, as opposed to, let's say, buying the originals and it being 50-50 on the quality if they're loose or anything like that. Like you could buy a 100% complete, G1 Sunstreaker or Sideswipe 1984. And then you get it in the mail and it's kind of loose and, the arms are loose or there's a scratch on the windshield. It's always like a crapshoot, really, in a lot of ways. Where when you buy the reissues, you're guaranteed it's going to be perfect. You just hope that there's no, mold problems. But, I mean, it's worth it to you if you don't mind owning reissues and owning reissues that are perfect condition. And the Japanese reissues are faithful to the originals in general. Spinister had the best color scheme in my humble opinion. So that would be purple, pink, and light blue. So then you must like the Seacons then, because they have those colors too. Will there be a sequel of Transformers Galaxy Force? I wish. I love Galaxy Force Cybertron. It was one of my favorite TF series, at least the Galaxy Force version. And how about a reboot of Transformers Beast Wars Armada? That's if Hasbro wants to go that direction. I firmly believe if the Netflix thing does very well, that might be a future platform for where we're going to see Transformer fiction moving forward. I think that with Cyberverse, and also keep in mind Rescue Bots is ending too. The TV series is rescuing. With Rescue Bots ending and Cyberverse being that weird show, like it was a good show, but the weird way it was presented. I think Hasbro's going to take a different angle on how they're going to use their presentation of Transformer fiction in the future. And I think they're dipping their toe in the proverbial water that is Netflix and seeing how that does first. Man, look, they're hyping it up like crazy, so there's clearly, some weight behind it. Was Beast Wars Neo a good line? Yes, it was. An amazing line. Amazing line, a lot of really fun designs, a lot of really fun molds, and it almost gave us our first Unicron toy. I'm read that Gal Geiger versus Betterman manga and the Brave Robot that reminds me of Beast Wars Second Starscream. Beast Wars Second Starscream, which you're referring to the one that was the BB / smokescreen mold one? I guess so. Be careful with reissue God Ginrai. My core leg bots recently is... Oh, Ian, yeah, I remember you were talking to me about that. Yeah. I can believe that, too. Like, I don't own the reissue, so I can't speak from experience. I just own the original. But that's crazy if that's true, because, like, that's not GPS at all. Man, that sucks. Remember when you told me that? That's crazy. Actually, one of my other screen I'm working on is a review of Gal Geiger the anime. Yeah, Gal Geiger the anime is amazing. Anyone who's a Transformer fan needs to watch Gal Geiger. I'm in love with the color scheme of Netflix. Decepticon Mirage. Yeah, it looks cool too. Yeah, that's one of them that I actually, now that I think about it, the Decepticon Mirage is one I would have liked to pick up also. Just because it's kind of like a different character in a lot of ways. Hot take. Make Toys Quantron is the best Transformer figure of all time. I don't even know which one that is. I don't pay attention really to the names of third-party stuff, so you'd have to tell me which version that is. When is Marauder Megatron coming out, or they already did? I don't think it came out yet. Not yet. Unless you're referring to the animated one, then that's never coming out. What is your favorite Marvel USA UK comics saga? Obviously, it's going to be Matrix Quest. Gave us Nightbeat. Gave us a little bit of Bludgeon. Simon Furman's best stuff. It later on bleeds into the origin of the Transformers and introduces Primus to us. Can't argue with that. Some of the best stuff. And I was one of the few people that really loved Regeneration by Simon Furman. I loved that book. Like that IDW, like continuation numbers. Like, number 81 to 100. I loved that book. Regarding the Thundercracker Skywarp 2-pack, use the notify me when it's back function. Was notified, went out of stock, check back exactly 1 hour before later, before getting it notified to go. Scalpers. What do you want me to tell you, brother? You have to go in person. That's the only way you can beat these guys. Beat them with their own game, you gotta go in person. I got Make Toys Quantron only because it was $125. It's met in my humble opinion. It's the Computron one. I like Computron as a design. I think Lightspeed is a cool character. I find Scattershot is one of the most phallic Transformers ever made. Outside of Scavenger, the original Constructicon toy. If they ever do a Diaclon Red Mirage, they could call him Dino. I think they would call him Stinger or something, because they used that trademark. They didn't use it in the end for a figure. They used it once, I think, only, for a one-step. And that was it, if I remember correctly. No, I think they used it for another thing, too. Like, that's a trademark they could bring back up again and use it for a red... And what I would do is, even though I would want a red Formula 1 to be an Autobot, I think, like, you could make it as a Decepticon. Make it a counter to Mirage. Could we get a Commander class tidal wave? Yeah, that could work. If look, I had this discussion with Sixo on Twitter today. I was saying how today, if you were 5 years old watching Armada, you're 23 years old today. So Armada kids are out there. They're adults now. They're paying customers. So I could see it. What sort of chug version of it's sort of a chug version of Computron? Will we ever get a good Lyozak in Generations? Well, if we ever get, that whole crew, Lyo Kaiser, and get a decent Hellbat and everything one day. That's more if Takara wants it than our side. It seems that J-Decker might be more popular than Brave these days. It has a wholesome feel and seems to resonate with fans today. Well, it's debatable. It's debatable. I find that in terms of all the different fandoms that are behind each of the Brave series, I find that Gal Geiger just has the biggest audience and gets the most merchandising. Jay Decker has a lot of great designs, though. A lot of really good designs. What if they did a Speed Racer X Transformer crossover and retooled animated Blur? I'm surprised it never happened. I'm surprised they never got a white repaint of Blur. But I would totally be behind that, 200%. I love Speed Racer. What do you think Hasbro is going to do if they come out with a Dreamwave IDW style of the Fallen? They need to. We need a new Fallen figure of anything. Fallen is fallen behind, no pun intended. He needs a new figure. The closest we got to a new Fallen was that Megatronus that little Titan Returnal one that came packed in with, I think he came packed in with the Blastoff or something from those Generation Selects. Just got my Mints Titan Returns Triptychon. Awesome. Oh man, for the price of shipping. No joking on that one. Gal Geiger ended like the Xenosaga trilogy. Shh, let people watch Gal Geiger. It's amazing. I love Speed Racer I would love a Speed Racer Transformer. Me too, Ninjatron. Mahago. Last time they used Dino was my tiny turbo changer back in 2018. So the trademark is still kicking around. Have a good stream. I'm out. See you later, Ian. I love the Armada kids. Of course you do, Aaron. You get them at your table. I love a red Decepticon Mirage would be cool. Me too. What time is it right now? I just want to make sure. Oh, okay, we still got time. We still got time, guys. Just want to make sure. Grew up on Cybertron and animated stuff. He says he's 20 right now, Pikachu. I can tell you I'm craving a Generations version of that stuff. Yeah, but that's how it always is. Like, I equate it, because the problem was like, I grew up with G1. My teenage years was Beast Wars. And I have a nostalgic connection to those two series. I love the other stuff too, but I understand why I have a favoritism for Beast Wars, aside from it being the best Transformer series of all time. But the point is that I equate it to Ultraman, because Ultraman has been around since 1966. I didn't grow up with Ultraman back in 1966, so I don't have an emotional connection to those early series. But my first Ultraman series I ever watched was Ultraman Towards the Future, and I have a connection. Like, I love Ultra 7 from 1967. Like, I love the vintage Ultraman stuff too. I've gone back and watched and appreciate it. But I also have a warm place for Ultraman Towards the Future because it was my first Ultraman series. Even if it isn't really that good, I'll even admit it wasn't really that good, but I have a warm spot for the designs and the ideas. And I compare that to people who are latecomers to the Transformer franchise, where I could understand that when they see Armada to them is their Ultraman Towards the Future for me. Where it's like, oh, I get it. Like, you weren't there for G1 and Beast Wars and RID and G2. Like, so they have a warm place for that kind of stuff too. Maybe they honestly admit, yeah, maybe Animated or Beast Wars was the better written series than Armada. But they still have a warm spot for the designs and they want to see more of that. So I totally get it. 200%. And Cybertron still had some awesome designs anyways. Loud pedal and exhaust. Yeah, well, someone talking about loud pedal and exhaust. Yeah, it's the same. Like Hasbro talked about this in the past many times, where when they do repaints, they usually want it to be on two sides of the factions. So if you did a red repaint of Mirage, even though he's a character that's associated with being a Decepticon and a traitor, um, yeah, you want to make him a Decepticon to have that flip side of it. Ninja Robbie did a cool image we used in our presentation. He was paid. Robbie who? Robbie Musso? Which Robbie? What I miss? Christina is back. It's always cool to find another Armada guys because we're all around the same age. Well, you guys are filling up the TF cons now. Like, you know, a majority. Look, the average convention goer is someone between the ages of 18 and 35. And like I said, if you were 5 when Armada came out, you're 23 today. So that's a huge rubber band right there of people that make up a majority of the dealer room. That's great. Always wanted Gatchaman Phoenix Transformers. I thought for sure that would happen. That'd be cool. Gatchaman stuff. But that's almost like, makes me wonder, it looks so Power Ranger. You know, like there'd be that connection there. It'd be so Sentai. The Unicron trilogy ruined Transformers for me. I grew up with the Beast era, but Unicron show looked stupid and stopped liking Transformers. Well, the problem with people who watched the fiction of the Unicron trilogy was they watched the dub that was on Cartoon Network and stuff like that. I watched it initially through subtitles of Japanese versions, you know, Micron, Legend, Super Link, and Galaxy Force. And they're significantly better, and especially Armada, the animation for the American version was rushed, and the script wasn't complete, so characters were called all kinds of different names. You know, like one moment you're calling Swindle, then you're calling him Grid because of the Japanese name, because they had an early Japanese script. Like, they were all over the place with that. And number two, the animation was messed up because, again, it was rushed out completely. So I always say, if you're going to watch the Unicron trilogy, watch the Japanese version. You'll have a better appreciation of the whole series as a whole, the whole trilogy. I don't think Ninjatron's your brother, Aaron, but I could be wrong. You have different names, but maybe they're just pronounced differently. Why do you think Hasbro changed the G1 Blue Streak toy colors to silver, replacing it with blue? I don't know. The blue streak, as it's called, was photographed for the instructions, but they were using Diaclone toys at the time, or Diaclone. That's the rumor for years. Were always like, oh, there is a blue streak. It was in the instructions. If you actually go back and you look at Soundwave's instructions, it's Cassette Man, and they put a blue piece of tape across the Cassette Man part in the instructions. So it's just they just decided to go with silver. I think maybe they looked at the line and they went like, you know what? Optimus Prime has some blue. You know, Soundwave has blue. This Rumble or Frenzy, in this case it would be Frenzy. Frenzy has blue. You know, there's a blue Thundercracker jet. You know, they were probably looking around and going, oh, maybe there's too much blue. You know, let's put a silver somewhere or something. Maybe it'll look nicer. That's probably their guess, the shelf appeal, you know. Make Aaron an honorary ninja consultant. Make him 6-shot. Do you think Transformers Prime Voyager Breakdown is overpriced for a Takara exclusive? It's only overpriced because of the secondary market. It wasn't overpriced when it was brand new at 4,000 yen. You know, it's just the secondary market makes it overpriced. Yeah, man, I grew up on Armada. I definitely think Beast Wars and Prime and Animated are much better shows, but Armada is definitely a mood. I get it. I totally get it. Totally, I'm in the same boat with that. Prime in the movies are my G1. Animated in the Unicron trilogy could have been my G1, but they're boring for me when I was a kid. Yeah, that's how it is. Look, Transformers has been around long enough and has enough series and enough fiction and enough comic books and enough everything that it's gotten to a point that, you know, there's going to be stuff that people don't enjoy that other people do. And it's just it's the flavor of it. There's nostalgia. You know, you can't deny that, you know, Generation 1 is a 80s cartoon, you know, and it's a very 80s cartoon, and take from that what you will. Aaron can be a ninja consultant any day of the week. Sweet. And yes, Robbie M did the Mach 5. Oh, you're talking about, yeah, Robbie Musso when he did that art of the Mach 5 Transformer. Yeah. Robbie Musso is a big car guy. Me and him talk a lot about Formula One. I remember, I think it was one of the very last BotCons. I think I talked with him for an hour about Formula One at his table. Like, I just said hi, and then I got roped into it, and we just had a huge discussion about it. He's big into motorsports, and I don't know many people in the fandom that are into motorsports, so it's nice to talk with people who follow that kind of stuff. I grew up with Energon and Cybertron, currently 18, will never understand when people hate Energon and Cybertron's blocky animation. To me, it's the best part. Well, I think it's more just because I think the people who criticize it kind of forget what CG was back then as opposed to what CG is now. I mean, you could go on Netflix right now and you have so many CG shows made from Korea that are done on the cheap, and you could argue that the CG that's in those are better than Energon, but you're also talking 15 years ago. So it is what it is. But I love Cybertron. I love it, love it, love it. Especially the Japanese version, Galaxy Force. Since you're here, Mr. Archer, thanks for making such a dope designs. You made my childhood. And that's from Destracon. I was trying to say Destracon. I don't know. Very bad with that. Did you get Siege Skywarp? He's going for a lot now. I actually don't have Siege Skywarp. I never saw him in retail. I know that his secondary market's really expensive right now, but I think it'll even out as time progresses. It always does. It's always retail, secondary market, and then it goes down a little bit, and then 5 years later, and then it goes back down. It's always like that, especially if it's loose. If you don't mind owning it loose complete, it'll always be cheap. Aaron, I need a job. Is Hasbro hiring? Artwork designer, toy engineer for Zaps. Hasbro actually has on their website where you could send applications. I always suggest go check that out. Aaron, I think, talked about that in his panel once if you wanted to get hired. But that's, I have to warn you guys, doesn't mean you're going to be in the Transformer brand, though. They're going to throw you on whatever. You might end up in My Little Pony. So don't think you're going to end up doing Transformers. Which Optimus and Megatron design is your favorite from the Unicron trilogy? Well, that's not fair to say because, I really love Galaxy Force Optimus Prime. I felt that Cybertron, aka Galaxy Force Optimus Prime, when he came out, was easily one of the best Transformer toys ever made, at that time. In terms of the Megatrons, though, that's a tough one because I really like that Armada Unicron because of all the bells and whistles and gimmicks, but I really like the Energon one also because I like that Unicronian Galvatron kind of look to it. Where are we at here? Got to scroll. Aaron says he's no longer with Hasbro, so sorry. But like I said, check Hasbro's website. They actually have a career section where there's always people that are looking, and you could send in your application. Yeah, no TFCon, unfortunately. Where are they? Oh, there we go. I don't know. I feel that part of the reason I also love the Unicron trilogy stuff is because besides G1, the most of the mechs looked like Transformers to me. And as a lover of Sentai, it tickles my fancy. Well, it's also because it's Japanese created. So if it's Japanese created, it has that Japanese flavor of storytelling for mecha. And I would not be surprised if some of the designers are pulling from that, with Sentai still being a strong brand in the Japanese preschool population of purchasing. Us G1 guys are becoming the 12-inch Joe collectors. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I can only imagine what the real American hero kids were looking at the 12-inch Joe collectors in the 90s and going like, what is this? What are these old men? You know, with their 12-inch Joes, the Hall of Fame line. I would want to see some point Transformers to continue Transformers animated and give us a few more seasons. You are preaching to the choir, man. Like even like Derek Wyatt would love that. Everyone would love that. They said I firmly believe if we ever did get more, it would be in comic book form. That's probably how we would get it, unfortunately. I mean, I'm the only one that still likes the original Headmaster's gimmick with the stats. I love the Headmaster gimmicks with the stats. I love the fact that you put different ones and you get different stats. I love that the little ridges determine that kind of stuff. I discovered Headmasters much later in my life. I want to say like I got my very first Headmaster, which was Hosehead, in 1997 or 96, and that's how I first discovered them. And I thought it was just the coolest thing ever that a little robot becomes the head and stuff. And then I kind of researched more into that because by the time Headmasters became a thing in Transformers, it was already on its way out in terms of the popularity with kids in the schoolyard. So we were already like buying Ninja Turtle toys by 87, 88. Yo, thank you for all the Instagram love. Just trying to direct it to you, Aaron. Just trying to direct it to you. Got to funnel it to you. Got to use the platform and then open it up to funnel the sweet, sweet likes and follows. I can announce now that I am doing a panel presentation on my Twitch Sunday that will be for TFCon. For more information, follow. The thing about that, Ninjatron, Goober was asking me about that. He asked me if I wanted to do a panel for TFCon online next week, and I haven't decided yet what I want to do. But I'll probably talk about that more later in the week. I'm thinking of doing something finance related for collectors of Transformers. I'm not sure yet what I want to do, but I'm going to do something. Goober was bugging me about it. I'm pretty sure he probably talked to you about it also, because he wants to do an art panel, I think he said, or something. But anyways, we'll talk about it later. Classic style Dinobot with feathers. You know what's funny? Beast Wars Grimlock, when he was in the IDW comics, had feathers. They actually did that. So they were trying to update him. Oh man, I remember that I was at the Target and had Siege Cybertron Prime in a few months. And I wanted to get him because his design was a very good design. Yes, it was. Pikachu says, I really do. Chris H. It's something else. Different conversation. AD followed Aaron on Instagram. Recently bought Generation Selects Hotshot, and I love him. Yep. Hotshot is awesome. Follow Aaron on Instagram, guys. You'll see some cool art from Transformers history. I have to raise a Jolly Rancher. Be right back. With Energon and Cybertron, I'm into the idea of basically just having toys be a CG model. Well, again, the one good thing about that is at least you know that it's going to be show accurate, especially with Cybertron. Little things here and there. Someone like Thunderblast, aka Chromia, there was only so much they could do to make that show accurate. But that's another story. Would you believe me if I said a customized five Siege Seeker? I have a problem. If you customize, wouldn't surprise me. A lot of people do that. The second they get that new Seeker mold, it all of a sudden gets slathered with paint almost instantly by customizers. So, wish they did more new shows, more new shows first, a toy first. That's a tongue twister. Where are we at here? Only Gal Geiger got... okay, someone's asking if Brave stuff is on DVD in America. Unfortunately, Gal Geiger was the only one that got DVD releases, and it was only the TV series, not the OVA sequel, which you need to see, final, to conclude the series. Never got official DVD releases. And what's interesting about those DVD releases, the first box set has a dub track, if that matters to people. It doesn't matter to me because I watch sub anyways. The second box set didn't have a dub track. So that's another thing, too, to remember. I'll leave it out. I don't know. Generation Skywarp is still more money than I think I should be. but I'll still track it down. A Generations Ultra Magnus, even if it's a knockoff Optimus Prime. Knockoff Classics Optimus Prime. It'll even out. His price will even out Siege Skywarp. Just give it time. It's something that you have to accept that you have to be willing to wait like 2 to 5 years sometimes, but it'll even out. The only way to get a Siege Skywarp for a reasonable price is from Amazon Mexico, and he's like $50, which is not terrible actually when I think about it. I mean, that's not bad. Classic. I think like, what was his price point with Canada? He must have been like $70 if he was. You know. Classics Deluxe Optimus Prime wasn't the best figure, but it was pretty G1 accurate for a time and for a retail figure. I don't know about it being G1 accurate, but it was definitely an interesting figure. The kibble was kind of bothersome on the arms, though. Had there ever been any fiction written as to why later G1 had a ton of vehicular Autobots and animalistic Decepticons? That's probably more from a Takara writing standpoint. You really want to diversify, like, what is a good guy to a bad guy. You look at even Generation 1 from the beginning, it was always like Autobot cars against Decepticon jets and miscellanea. And then that kind of got mixed up later on. I know that, like, you know, reading this guy right here, the Transformer mangas that were recently published by Viz, and like they even emphasize it's like the Autobots are always supposed to be cars, and when the Menasor shows up, that's supposed to be a big deal, and when, you know, Superion shows up, you know, the Decepticons are always jets, and when he shows up, that's a big deal. So, you know, we kind of got used to that later on, where it all kind of meshed. But the Japanese, they like to write that, you know, animal stuff, usually wild, you know, unpredictable Decepticon, you know. Never liked Headmasters myself. They came Armada Sideswipe, and I loved it. Armada Sideswipe pretty much was the return of Headmasters. Yes, Goober wants to do everything. Goober always wants to do everything. Cocaine is a hell of a drug, as Goober would say. Earth Wars have both. Yeah, the Earth Wars game has Hound as and there's a hiss sound wave. I still play the Earth Wars game to this day. To this day, I still play it. I have a what's it called there? A team or whatever, a tribe that you could join. I think it's called the Chosen Ones. It has a hot rod theme to it. So if you want to join my crew on Earth Wars, I still play it to this very day. And they had a whole bunch of Transformers G.I. Joe crossover stuff. Come on, let's do a panel. You want to do a panel, Aaron? We'll talk. Maybe we'll do something. We'll figure something out. We could do some kind of like dual screen thing if you want. Or you could just, you know, do a panel. Do a cool panel. We could work something out. It kind of makes me sad that honestly, that Transformers has largely left its experimental phase. Well, that's just how it is, Pikachu. Look, any brand at all, not just Transformers, when the chips are down, they take more risks because they know that they're better shooting stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. When the money is good, the experimenting comes more from more product. And sometimes that more product is made like that, but it's still safe because it's like, oh, we're going to make more product, but based off of the safe ideas. We're going to make Creo. We're going to make this, but it's still G1, but it's still movie, you know, but it's still like, you know, whatever was hot at the time that's working for them. When the chips are down, that's when you have more experimentation and trying to do different things because they need to know they need to survive. Look at Beast Wars. Look at, you know, the tail end of the Unicron trilogy before the movies. You know, when sales were still good, but they were going a little down, you know. I said once on Twitter that G1 was the foundation and probably the best content for kids and younger people. Went ballistic. They responded to saying the G1 was awful. Again, it depends who the people that are responding to you. Every Transformer series has its purpose. Like, there's never one Transformer series that I could straight up just hate on. Like, even people who don't like Energon, let's say, and its writing, you could see what they were trying to do at the time, especially Japan with the brand. So, like, you can't hate on those things, you know. And even G1, especially knocking G1, By the way, I started at 5:30. Oh, geez. 5:30 a.m. Guess you gotta go to sleep, brother. So go to sleep. Like, we never had a really large departure of Optimus and Megatron again. Yeah, that's the thing. Look, number one, you're talking trademarks. So it's always risque to not put Optimus. I think the closest we ever got to that was the Robots in Disguise 2.0 series, where they started it with just Bumblebee. And in a small sense, also Cyberverse, more so obviously the Robots in the Sky. But then Optimus was brought in because you got to keep those trademarks, got to have them in the series. I don't think it's ever going to happen again. I don't think they're ever going to take that risk ever again. Where are we at here? Post on the Transformer Slag Discord. Join the Transformer Slag Discord if you get a chance. You can check out all the cool stuff, as well as our Patreon. Got to shill that Patreon. Check out the Patreon in the description below of the other videos to get the link. I want a Transformer story where all the continuities meet in one universe in a massive team-up battle. That was called the original Universe series back in 2002, 2003. And the few comic books that existed at the time with that. Gal Geiger was free on YouTube. Same with Final. Was it? I didn't know that. Was it officially free or someone just posted it all? I'm talking about the Classics Optimus that came with that 2-pack. Oh, the one that had the punch gimmick there. Yeah, that one was not bad. It had kind of a weird head, though. I blew my art teacher's mind. I almost read that wrong. I blew my art teacher's mind with how old Snake was Cobra Commander in the episode of Only Human. Well, if you couldn't tell by the voice of Chris Latta. I still play Earth Wars 2, but I'm an alliance of one. Ah, okay. They're called alliances. That's what it's called. There you go. Missing the TF Legends mobile game. Yeah, I wish that one was still around. Put all that time and effort into it, and then they just flicked the switch and deleted everything. Such amazing art too. I was hoping they were gonna make an art book with all the art in it. It's incredible. Is there one TF character that makes you groan when you see them? Night Scream. Beast Machine's Night Scream. It's the only Transformer character I don't like. Don't like his toy. Don't like his design. Don't like his character. I like Beast Machines as a series, just he doesn't belong. Don't like him. I mean, even him fictionally coming into the series then cements this idea of organics on Cybertron before Cybertron, which I'm not a fan of either in general. Is there one character? Okay, I already read that. There was a Transformer game for PS2. Did you get to play that? I love the Armada Transformer PS2 game. Or if the other one you're referring to, Call of the Future, which was the Japanese exclusive one, which was kind of a beat-up. I love both of them. They're both great games. Obviously, Call of the Future is the weaker game of the two because it really is just like a belt beat-em-up. You get to play cool G1 characters with mediocre voice acting. The Armada game is amazing, though. And it was the first ever true, really good Transformer game. There was good games in the past, like the Game Boy Beast Wars Fighter, but the Armada one was the first time we got a really good Transformer game. Broadside should be a Commander class figure. Broadside has weird scale issues. I think that if we did have a Broadside Commander class, then for sure you'd get a tidal wave. But I don't know. That's a tough one. I really want a Transformer story where Bombshell is the main villain. Well, we almost got Bomb Shock, the Insecticon, which was kind of like a Bombshell character voiced by David Kay. So that's about as close as it's going to get. Do you watch any stop-motion Transformer or fan films? Not really. I don't really have the time for it. If it's brought to my attention, I'll watch it. But I don't really go out looking for it. Thank you for answering my toy battery question earlier. Is it safe to leave missiles in the toys, or will they? Yes, that's another one. Thank you for asking these questions, by the way, because these are good questions to address. If you leave Transformer toys, leave the spring inside, you're going to compress the spring completely. And then over time, what happens is the metal just gets used to being that shape. Especially if you're in an environment that's hot or cold, it's going to happen even quicker. And then it won't have that strength for the spring launching anymore. Same thing goes if you own extremely expensive Brain Masters. Brain Masters work on a spring gimmick. And if you leave them transformed in the face mode, like, and it's sad because now you can't leave your brain masters in robot mode and have the face. You're damaging the spring, actually. So that's another thing too. Never leave the springs inside. If it's pressure missiles, it doesn't matter because that doesn't affect it. I bought the Beast Wars Game Boy game at BotCon 99 and played it right there on the spot. Very nice. Easily was the first good Transformer game. Easily. I think if we got a broadside as commander class, his plane mode would have gotten something like a fighter jet, more like a cargo plane or bomber. Well, at least the one good thing with it being a commander is like scouts or stuff, or like minicon scale or micromasters could land on him, and it would make sense from a scale perspective. Oh, hello there. I think if we, where are we at? Are you like me? You would have wanted a Transformer subscription service 2.0 barricade and Transformer barricade, and be Bumblebee's enemy. I worked on the subscription service stuff. I didn't work on 2.0 though. But I'm pretty sure that was Jesse's idea, that one. But yeah, Barricade's a funny one because he's just one of those characters that he was a Micromaster character with no fiction really, and then they took the name and they just ran in another direction. He was also used in, he was originally a Cops trademark. There's a character called Barricade that Hasbro had, and they used it on other trademark stuff. I think there was a Army Ants toy called Barricade too that was trademarked. And then Energon had a character named Barricade. It was the centerpiece that would have been Onslaught, I guess, for the Bruticus team. And then finally we find him on the 2007 movie character. And then it completely rewrote what we know of Barricade. No longer a blue Formula One or a Onslaught clone, but a evil police car, which hadn't been done in Transformers up to that point. Is there any Transformer comic series that you'd like to see as a TV show? The War Within definitely comes to mind. Like, the easy answer is everyone wants, like, James Roberts' stuff, but if we dial it back, like, I loved War Within by Don Figueroa. Thought it was a great book. Would love that as a TV series. Would love it. But yeah, that'll be that one for sure. If I could only pick one, it would be War Within. I love Dreamwave stuff. It's such a, like, Dreamwave, I understand all the controversy, what happened with Pat Lee and everything, but I loved what they were doing. Power core combiners on combine modes may also cause spring issues. Yeah, that is true too. That is true also. And some power core combiners are also fragile and breakable. Who's your favorite secret color scheme? I want to say Red Wing, but let's go with Shattered Glass Thundercracker, aka UK Thundercracker. Just because it's delicious. Cops X Transformers when? They'll definitely have a lot of trademarks. You have Mirage, you have Mainframe, you have, let's see, who else? You have Bulletproof. I think Bulletproof was used in Transformers. I think it was one of the Cybertron figures. You have Inferno. You have Mace, which was not a Transformer. I'm trying to think of other. I think because Barricade. You had Taser, which wasn't used with Transformers though. Long Arm, the Minicon, which was one of the main characters. How could I forget Long Arm? Is my favorite one of the bunch. That'd be a crazy one. Fighting crime in a future robot time. I hate the TF guidebook from a decade ago. It has a G1 Barricade as a yellow, purple, and red bot. TF guidebook from a decade ago. Are you referring to the one that was done by DK Studios? Had a white kind of cover? Any possible info on that? Because I don't remember him being in those colors. Hold on a second. Are you referring to this one? This is my wall of... If you're referring to that one, and then of course you would be referring to probably them trying to make an homage to the old Micromaster. Anyways, I'll see if you're talking about that one before I go on a wild goose chase with this thing. I think it was written by Simon Furman. Oh yeah, it was. Is there any word on Generation Sunstorm for Siege or Earthrise? I'm sure it'll come one day. Nacelle! The problem with Nacelle is that toy is fragile as hell now. Don't mess with that one. It'll fall apart. That's like the tail end of that mold's lifespan. It's loose as hell and always falling apart. Are there any Combiner Wars springs or gimmicks that break? Combiner Wars doesn't use springs. It uses like friction, to my knowledge, on everything. It's mostly friction stuff. Yeah, it looks like it, to my knowledge. I'm looking at them now. Where are we at here? It's like probs right, but before we leave. I'll try and find exactly which one. Find myself some gimmicks of Transformer toys. But yeah, I think you're referring to this one, bruh. This was by Simon Furman. It was released in, I think, 2006, 2007, around the time of the movie. And this is when Barricade... It's funny because Barricade was a Micromaster long before. So, Power Masters, Pretenders, Japanese Transformers. Maybe they'll talk about Micromasters. Generation 2. Now they're already skipping that. And then we got Beast Wars. Your thoughts on... Oh, wait, where are we at here? Sorry, I almost jumped ahead. I love myself some gimmicks in my Transformers. Power Combiners, some pretty cool original designs. Yes, they did. I really like Power Core Combiners. I just kind of wish the interior bot wasn't the only thing that transformed. Combiner Wars connectors does have a spring in it. Took one apart. Oh, it does it. Okay. I don't know. I always felt like it was like a friction connection. What are your thoughts on accessory kits and Transformer selects? I dig it. I think it's awesome. We get a little camera. We get a little sound wave. It's something that third party's been doing for years and making money. It's about time that Hasbro get a piece of the pie. What's the deal with double Pretenders? Do you own any prototypes other than or other versions of them? Well, I own the double Pretender BotCon one. If you're referring to Bandito Spider and Oil Master, but I don't own the prototypes of them, unfortunately. I'd like to. They were just Hasbro concepts and designs that unfortunately just didn't happen because of the downward spiral of G1's popularity with mainstream. Didn't happen. Especially Pretenders probably didn't help at all. Even though I like Pretenders, probably the mainstream audience weren't a fan of it. What was the third-party company that did the Power Core Combiner of the Fallen? That is a good question. I remember that one. It was a good toy too. A really good toy. I didn't buy it, but it was a really good-looking figure. We get a lot of 3D printed upgrade kits nowadays. Yeah, go to Shapewaves. There's like 1 million Transformer accessories you could buy from Shapewaves. What do you think if they do a one-step Beast Wars toy for the movie, or do you think they will do something different like with Bumblebee? Well, to be fair, the original Beast Wars had flip changers, which were technically one-step Transformers. I think that anything that we're going to get now movie-wise, they're always going to have a simpler, like look at the Bumblebee movie. They're going to have a simpler line for the kids, something that's simple, something that's gimmick-based, like they had the Power series and Nitro series with pullback gimmicks and everything, and one-step changers and all of that, and a smaller price point, then oversized, blocky figures, which make good Christmas presents and birthday presents. There's that kind of stuff. And then we have Studio Series and Masterpiece, which will handle all that stuff. Look, everyone in the Bumblebee movie is slowly going to get all their really good figure representations. So if we do get a Beast Wars movie, we'll have Studio Series Beast Wars toys, and we'll have simple Beast Wars toys too. Where are we at here? I need to track down one for my Power Core Combiner collection. I guess I remember G1 Barricade wrong. I could have sworn he was blue and yellow. You're probably referring to, yeah, the original Formula 1 G1 Barricade that was blue, yellow, and pink, which you can barely see from the Micromaster display over there. We're on Cybertron Trilogy, Galvatron, That's Titan Returns without a headmaster gimmick. Okay. Maybe I missed part of the conversation. Do you hope for a War for Cybertron trilogy Star Saber? I would love a new Star Saber anything at this point. Anything Star Saber anything for sure. For sure. Who is your favorite Beast Machines character design? Not counting toys, because the toys had a lot of really cool stuff. Those Viacons were amazing, some of them. For, let's say, show... I'll go with Cheetor, with Obsidian being a close second place. Just because I liked how unique Obsidian was. If we're talking toys, then that really opens up to a lot of cool designs. Because I really liked just that regular scale Mirage. The Viacon Mirage was really cool. Again, that Obsidian was really cool. The colors were terrible on it in green, but I really liked that Obsidian. Just a lot of really good toys. The Maximals were kind of meh, but the Viacons were fun. Viacons were really fun. Hasbro is squandering the brand. The horrible movies didn't display anything for great characters. Here's the thing. You are right, but it still makes money. And it's not because of us. It's because of mainstream audiences. So the movies serve... That's such a huge loaded topic, but it has nothing to do with being a fan and everything with being a businessman and a creator and understanding how the market works. That's where it's a whole different animal. That's where you have to separate being a fan and think more like a content creator. Best Transformer villain, Beast Wars Megatron, hands down. Wouldn't even argue it. Beast Wars Megatron. He is the Thanos of the Transformers universe. Purple, Beast Wars Megatron. Yeah, a lot of the Beast Machine toys were the ones not in the show. Yeah, well, there was tons of stuff. Squandering the brand, give me a break. That's what Ninjatron says. Silverbolt was neat. Yeah, Silverbolt was neat too, but again, I wish the toy was more accurate. Get the Japanese one. I love I love the Transmetal Rampage. The Tank Cramo. He was the first Transformer to have a working tank tread. You might be right. If you don't count G2 Megatron, that when you move him, it makes tank tread sounds. Damn, you might be right. I think you're right, my friend. I think you're right. Made me have to think about that one for a moment. Do the movies do really well in China? They do gangbusters in China. Will Smith did an interview many years ago talking about, remember he did a movie called Wild Wild West? Remember that? And that movie bombed in America. Will Smith came off of Men in Black. He came off of Independence Day. He was a huge popular actor in the 90s. He did this movie called Wild Wild West, and it bombed. And he did an interview, and he said, despite the fact that the movie bombed, in China, it was a huge success. And he said that the primary reason why it bombed in America was because the humor wasn't there. But in China, story and humor takes the back seat to celebrity and prestige and visuals. So as long as it has a big name celebrity, as long as it has the prestige of being this big movie that you got to see, and as long as it has the visuals, they'll see it. And so what does that mean? That means that that market handles movies very differently than the American market. And there's always easy to be money to be made there. And so while we might look at the Transformer movies and go, they look at it and go, wow. And you have to understand, that's a country that hasn't had American movies for a very long time. They were only able to have very select movies until, it's a whole other story in terms of how their country functions, but they're only able to use specific, for the longest time, they're only allowed to have certain movies, and they had to go through, censorship and stuff. So it's very complicated, their movie-going ways. but at the same time, they're also what keeps Transformers movies making millions of dollars. And in a lot of ways, I feel will sometimes be how they're going to steer the brand in the future if we're not careful. Hope we could get a Beast Machines inspired Jetstorm character or toy. His personality and even actual appearance was cool. I almost thought he said cool aid. I love Jetstorm. He was cool. I would love to see a new toy of him. Comic book as a TV show, War Within, the Wreckers trilogy, and Heart of Steel. Heart of Steel would be cool too. Yeah, I'd dig that. I'd dig that a lot. But all those cool designs that we never really got officially. Okay, we have similar taste in Transformer villains. Who's the best Japanese Transformers antagonist? Ooh, that is a tough one because I really like Deathsaurus and I really like Devil Z because Devil Z really is a bad mofo and mysterious, and we still to this day don't really know much about him. And then you have Volinger, which again same story. That's a tough one. I'm gonna just go with Deathsaurus just because I really like him as a character, but Devil Z is like a close second place because I really love Master Force. Speaking of squandering, gotta mention Mask again. Mask is a tough line, man. One day they'll get it back up in order. What do you think the third chapter of the War for Cybertron trilogy is going to be about? I'm hoping more Micromasters and Beast Wars, but it could be 86 movie for all we know. If Transformers were to stop being made, would the content of everything reading this wrong? If Transformers were to stop being made, would you be content with everything you have, or would you move on to a different toy line? I've always said many times that if Transformers just like stopped for 5 years, I'd be totally fine with it because there's so much product that we could go back and enjoy that we wouldn't be missing anything. It's not like other toy lines where it's like people cap out and there's nothing left to enjoy at that point. Transformers has over more than 1,000 episodes of cartoon fiction, thousands of comic book fiction, thousands of action figures, tens of thousands of action figures. There's so much still to enjoy. Video games coming out of the wazoo now. So I think it would be totally fine. And as for other toy lines to collect, I always collect still other toy lines, so it doesn't make a difference. I'm a big video game merchandise collector. I love 90s toy lines, like short-run 90s toy lines like Street Sharks and King Arthur and the Knights of Justice and Botsmaster. I love Sentai stuff, so I'll always have something else to collect too. So it wouldn't make a difference. But I always felt that if Transformers stopped for 5 years, I'd be cool with it. I'd be totally fine. No fiction, no new toys, nothing, just stop for 5 years. I'd be fine because then I could go back and enjoy what I missed. I could go back, get some G1, get those Siege toys I missed, get some Earthrise I missed. Oh, maybe there was a RID 2.0 toy or a Cyberverse toy I missed. Go back and rewatch some stuff with a fresh pair of eyes all these years later. I haven't watched Armada or Energon start to finish in like what feels like 15 years. So go back and review those again. It would just be new content for the channel. The channel right now relies on new stories and news and stuff. But I could totally see like it stopping for 5 years and me just making new content like that. It won't happen because trademarks are important. They want to keep the trademarks forever. But I would like it. Why not? Rampage is the first and only a few who have working treads. Don't really know many figs that do that. There is none to my knowledge now that I think about it. Oh, thank you, Drew, for donating money. Sorry about that. I just noticed your thing now. Sorry, because sometimes I look here, and then I have to look here, and I have to look here. Thank you for the donation, Drew. Are the movies getting people to buy toys? They won't keep the brand alive. Well, see, here's the thing, and this is the reality is that it used to be back in the day that the main line, which was based off of the TV fiction, was the moneymaker. That's how it used to be. Beast Wars, Armada, Energon, that was the main line. And the sublines on the side were collector based, and whether it be titaniums or at the time alternators, those were like stuff on the side. Or even at the time the Heroes of Cybertron PVC line, those weren't the money makers. It was always the main line that was the money. In 2006, 2007, we had the Bay movie. And then technically the main line would be a movie and whatever the TV series was. So whether it be the Michael Bay movie stuff and animated. The Michael Bay movie stuff, which would be like, let's say, Revenge of the Fallen or Dark of the Moon, and Transformers Prime. And still on the side would be classics and Universe 2.0, as they called it at the time, and then later generations. But now that the collector market has flipped, Dark of the Moon really was at the time the turning point, because that's when Toys to Life became a thing, Skylanders came out, kids were more about video games than they were about plastic figurines, and things switched permanently in a lot of ways. It was a different world. iPhone really started falling in the hands of every single kid at that point. And then later on iPads in 2012. So it's, to me, how I feel when it comes to that is now these main lines and these brands are all collector based. So what used to be their bread and butter is now the ones aimed at the older collectors. And I'm telling you, man, I see it. I run conventions, and I see every day how the toy market is not kids anymore. It really isn't. I run toy conventions. I run video game conventions. When I run the video game conventions, all of a sudden all the kids come out. All of a sudden all the kids come out. They want Pokemon cards. They want video games. They want all of that stuff. Toy convention, if a kid is there, it's because daddy dragged them. Daddy wants to buy something. And then the kid, gets into the vibe and then wants to pick up something. But it's usually primarily an adult market. So the brand staying alive is unfortunately going to be an evolution of the modern market today. And it's why Japan is where we get all our hardcore adult-based products, because they already experienced that 5-10 years ago. They have a shrinking birth rate. There's less people having children in Japan. There's less kids buying toys. So it's primarily an adult market. So that's where we get our SH Figure Arts, our masterpieces, our Figmas, our, all of that stuff. Japanese market. Who knows what the future will bring? I don't have a crystal ball. I could just use experience and knowledge and then what's going on in the world and try to put those puzzle pieces together. But we'll see. Netflix is using a non-union voice actors with baffling decision, given Transformers has been extremely popular in voice acting service. Again, I have reservations on the Netflix series. I really hope it's good, but we'll see. Hated the Bumblebee movie, but bought all the toys from it except one. You hated the Bumblebee movie, but you bought all the toys except one. I hope you don't mean like the non-studio series stuff, because that's a lot of stuff to buy for a movie you don't like. I'm writing a Transformers stop-motion series, and Devil Z is a major part of it. Awesome. What do you think the next Beast Wars masterpiece is after Tigatron? Realistically, like if I had to decide from a business standpoint, it would have to be Transmetal, Optimus Primal, or Megatron. But if it wasn't a business standpoint, I don't care if it makes money or not. Pterosaur. Pterosaur needs to be revisited. Pterosaur hasn't had a decent toy in forever. But yeah, that's who I would want. But Optimus Primal, Transmetal would be the smart decision from a business standpoint. How do you think Transformers ending would affect the market? Wouldn't affect it at all. Third party would still keep trucking. Third party would still be making lower number product for a very specific audience, because that audience would still be around. Think about it. Most people who collect Transformers, that go to TFCon are not up to date on the latest Cyberverse series, or are not up to date on or not a big fan of the latest movies. There's a huge portion of Transformer collectors that just love all the generation stuff that goes on, because it's throwbacks to Beast Wars and G1 and all that kind of stuff. And they just live in the fandom through that. They read the comic books because that has a G1 flavor to it, if there's people that read that. But I'll tell you this, sitting with James Roberts, yeah, there's a lot of people that go to James's table, but not enough to say that it's the entire convention that gives, that cares. So it's as opposed to, let's say, David Kay or Peter Cullen's lines, where it's a lot of people that care. So it's something that if TFs went away for a couple of years, I don't think it'll affect the market. I think the market will just evolve around it. You have to understand, there's not a lot of people of the other toy lines that are copying Transformers right now. They tried to at one point when the movies were huge and really making good money in 2009, 2010 in terms of product sales, but it's a different world today. Again, kids aren't buying toys as much anymore. So if they left the market, it's not going to change things too much. Pokemon is still going to do their thing. Beyblade's still going to do their thing. Marvel and Star Wars are still going to do their thing. DC's still going to do their thing. Like, they're still, Hot Wheels is still going to do their thing. Transformers being absent isn't going to change the way that they handle their stuff. The only thing I could see happening is maybe an off-brand company might then try to fill the gap with some kind of transforming robot line, but there's been so many that have come and gone already with no one's attention. So who knows? Just like how Botsmaster came around when there was no Transformer series. And it kind of filled the gap, but no one cared. I cared, but no one else did. One of my Prime War Trilogy Megatrons has working treads. Well, there you go. Now we know. Would be cool to see Team Bullet Train get modern figures. Well, we'll see what happens with Masterpiece Raiden in the future, which kind of went silent after the quarantine. The Big V. Shokorak has working treads technically too, yeah. There was a 30-year gap between collecting as a kid and collecting as an adult for me, so I know what you mean. Totally. Kids hit a different nostalgia. And the thing is, too, you have to understand, those kids that grew up, let's say, in that Skylanders era and Pokemon of, let's say, 2011 to 2012, when they're going to become adults, their nostalgia is going to be Pokemon. It's going to be Skylanders. It's not going to be something that they skipped like Transformers. That's the whole point of Rescue Bots, was to create a new younger demographic to nurture the future of the brand. That's the whole point of all of that. I bought Studio Series stuff. I didn't like the movie stuff whatsoever. Okay, there we go. There's the answer. Masterpiece Tarantulas next, I hope. Upscale Black Arachnia mold add-on pieces. Yeah. I think it would just be a brand new mold completely if they did a Masterpiece Tarantulas. It would just be a brand new mold. Much like how Tigatron is to Cheetor. It really is its own mold at the end of the day. Masterpiece Beast Wars Prowl would be awesome, and always loved his owl mode. I don't know if they're ever going to do non-show characters unless they're straight up repaints, like a Shadow Panther. But yeah, I like that mold too. I like that it was that was G1 Prowl as a Beast Wars character. Gotta wonder what factor kids. Okay, 2007 playing. They existed. Kids who watched the movies and bought toys were between 2007 and 2011-ish. It was after 2011 where things started to fall off and kids stopped playing with toys. That's when the numbers really started to change. So that market of 2011 onward is going to be interesting. Kids who were 5 during that time. Minicons were great when they were first released. They still are great. Just they're called Micromasters now. Transmetal Ravage is hard to get nowadays. Transmetal Ravage, as in the Ravage X9 toy? Or are you talking about Rampage? Because technically, it was a repaint of Cheetor. It was a repaint remold of Transmetal Cheetor, so I guess you could call him Transmetal Ravage. What time is it now? It's almost 10 o'clock, guys. I think we'll take some last questions, and then we'll call it quits for the night. I'd like to thank again Aaron Archer for coming by and bestowing us with some of his knowledge, as well as Ninjatron, Larry, Chris, and some of the others. I grew up with Skylanders, but it became repetitive, buying the same toy over and over with one new power, and they always went for sale. Just waited for them. Again, but here's the thing. 10 years from now, there might be a nostalgia market for it. Kids get bored of stuff, and it's like, I'm a kid. I love Transformers. Oh, there's Ninja Turtles. Don't care about Transformers anymore. I like Ninja Turtles. Oh, there's Power Rangers. Don't care about Ninja Turtles anymore. Now I have Power Rangers. Oh, there's the next thing. And then you become an older person, and then you're like, oh, nostalgia for Ninja Turtles, nostalgia for Power Rangers, nostalgia for Transformers. That kind of stuff happens. Yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock. Anyways, maybe we'll call it early today. Thanks again, everyone, for coming. How long did we go? We went for about 3 hours. Yeah, we started at 7. Thanks again for coming. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for all the donations from everyone. That was really cool, too. A whole bunch of donations. Again, if you want to be part of the Transformer Slag Patreon, check that out. It's in the description. It's in the about part of the website. Be a part of the Transformer Slag Patreon. Helps the podcast. Helps me buy new mics and stuff for everything. I can't even put it into shot. New mics for the podcast. Pay for my internet connection. All that kind of stuff. I'll answer one more question before we go. And it'll be Pikachu's question because he did donate. Do you think we'll ever get a Transformers Saturn V? As in the Apollo 13. That would be cool. If you do want a transforming Saturn V, let me just... This is the GoBot book. Let's go to GoBots. 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 GoBot number MR53. There's your Saturn V, brother. So track that down. Machine Robo number 53. The shuttle bot. There, let's put that back. So there's your transforming Saturn V before we call it a day. But thank you everyone for coming. I'll try to give you some stuff tomorrow. That's not Spacey. Spacey was a shuttle. That's a different one. We got that one in America. Thank you everyone for coming. We'll call it a day. And as always, check out the Patreon. Check out my past videos, stuff that I've done. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, or any of that kind of stuff that people usually say. I never say that ever, so might as well say it now. And I'll see everyone next time.